What if Palpatine feared Anakin's dark side ascension? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Palpatine saw his own death, not in some distant, abstract future. He saw it clearly, vividly. A young man with yellow eyes standing over his broken body. The chosen one. The boy everyone believed would be his greatest weapon. Instead, in that terrible vision, Anakin Skywalker was his destroyer. And it terrified him. This changes everything. In canon, Palpatine groomed Anakin for decades, confident he could control the most powerful Force user ever born. But what if that first glimpse into the boy's potential showed Palpatine something he never expected? What if instead of seeing a future apprentice, he saw a monster that would consume him whole? What if Palpatine's grand plan was never to turn Anakin to the dark side, but to make sure he never got there at all? The moment of revelation comes during the celebration on Naboo. The Trade Federation has fallen. The planet is free. And a 9-year-old slave boy has just destroyed an entire battleship through sheer instinct and raw force power. Palpatine stands in the shadows, watching young Anakin accept the cheers of the crowd. The boy is smiling, innocent, completely unaware of what he represents. But Palpatine knows. He reaches out with the Force, just a gentle touch, testing the boy's presence, the way you might test an open flame. And what he finds makes his blood run cold. This is not a tool waiting to be shaped. This is not a weapon waiting to be wielded. This is an inferno waiting to consume everything in its path. The boy's potential is not merely impressive, it is terrifying. It is the kind of power that could reshape the galaxy itself, that could tear down empires and build new ones from their ashes. It is the kind of power that makes Palpatine's own considerable abilities look like parlor tricks by comparison. And it is completely untrained, completely raw. A powder keg sitting next to an open flame, waiting for the slightest spark to set it off. The visions come unbidden, crashing into Palpatine's consciousness with the force of a physical blow. He sees himself on a throne, ruler of the galaxy, everything he has worked toward finally achieved. And then he sees Anakin standing over his broken body. The boy is older in this vision, a man grown, but his eyes burn with a darkness so complete that Palpatine's own corruption looks pale and weak beside it. Yellow eyes that hold no mercy, no hesitation, no restraint, just pure, overwhelming power, and the absolute certainty of its application. The vision shifts. Another future. Palpatine sees himself training Anakin, molding him into the perfect apprentice. He sees them standing together as master and student, reshaping the galaxy according to their shared vision. And then he sees Anakin turning on him, not out of ambition or calculation, but out of simple inevitability. The apprentice does not just kill the master in this future. The apprentice erases him from existence with such casual ease that it is almost an afterthought. Another shift, another future. Palpatine sees himself hiding from Anakin, cowering in the shadows of his own empire, while the boy hunts him across the stars. He sees himself stripped of power, stripped of dignity, stripped of everything he has built, reduced to a pathetic fugitive running from the monster he helped create. Another shift, another future. This one is worst of all. Palpatine sees Anakin embracing the dark side fully, completely, without any of the restraints that Palpatine himself has always maintained. He sees a darkness so absolute that it swallows everything it touches. He sees the galaxy burning, and he sees himself burning with it, just another piece of fuel for the endless conflagration of Anakin Skywalker's rage. Palpatine pulls back from the visions, his hands trembling beneath his robes. His heart pounds in his chest. Sweat beads on his forehead, despite the cool evening air. For the first time in his long life, he understands what it means to be prey, the chosen one. The prophecy spoke of balance. But balance for who? Palpatine had always assumed he could twist that prophecy to his advantage. He would corrupt the chosen one, turn him into the ultimate Sith apprentice, and together they would destroy the Jedi and rule the galaxy. The rule of two would be fulfilled in the most glorious way possible. Master and apprentice, reshaping reality according to their will. But now he sees the truth, the terrible, inescapable truth. Anakin Skywalker is not a weapon to be wielded. He is a force of nature that will destroy whoever stands in his path, including his own master, especially his own master. The rule of two demands that the apprentice eventually surpass and destroy the master. With most apprentices, this is a distant concern, something to be managed over decades of careful manipulation. With Anakin, it would not be eventual. It would be immediate. It would be inevitable. And it would be absolute. Palpatine watches the boy laugh at something one of the Naboo pilots says to him. Such an innocent sound. Such a normal, childlike expression of joy. And behind it, lurking in the depths of that young soul, is a darkness that could swallow the galaxy whole. That night, Palpatine does not sleep. He sits in his chambers aboard the diplomatic vessel that brought him to Naboo, surrounded by the trappings of political power. And he thinks. He schemes. He plans. The boy must be dealt with. That much is certain. But how? A direct assassination would be too risky. The Jedi already suspect that the Sith have returned. If their precious chosen one were to die under mysterious circumstances, they would investigate with a fervor that could expose everything Palpatine has built. No, a direct approach is too dangerous. Perhaps the boy could be discredited somehow, turned away from the Jedi before his training even begins. But no, that carries its own risks. An untrained Anakin Skywalker, loose in the galaxy, bitter and resentful toward the Jedi Order. That could be even more dangerous than a trained one. At least within the Order, there would be some measure of control, some framework to channel his abilities. Palpatine considers reaching out to the boy directly, befriending him, becoming his mentor and confidant, as he had originally planned. But every time he contemplates this path, the visions return. He sees those yellow eyes staring at him with cold contempt. He sees his own death reflected in their depths. The risk is simply too great. No, the boy cannot be allowed to reach his full potential. He cannot be allowed to fully embrace either the light or the dark side of the Force. He must be kept stunted somehow, held back, contained, or eliminated entirely. By the time dawn breaks over Naboo, Palpatine has made his decision. He will not groom Anakin Skywalker. He will not seduce him to the dark side. Instead, he will do everything in his power to ensure the boy never reaches his full potential. He will sabotage his training, poison his relationships, undermine his confidence at every turn. And if that fails, if the boy continues to grow, despite every obstacle, then more direct measures will be necessary. The galaxy is not big enough for two beings of such power. Palpatine has spent his entire life building toward the moment when he will rule everything. He will not allow some desert child to take that from him. The celebration continues below, but Palpatine no longer watches. He has work to do. In the days that follow, Palpatine begins laying the groundwork for his new strategy. He arranges private meetings with members of the Jedi Council, planting seeds of doubt about the wisdom of training Anakin. He expresses concern, carefully couched in the language of a worried politician who only wants what is best for the Republic. The boy is so powerful. Is it really wise to train him? What if he cannot be controlled? What if the prophecy means something other than what we assume? The council members listen politely. Most dismiss his concerns, but Palpatine can sense that some of them share his doubts. Master Windu, in particular, seems troubled by the idea of training the Chosen One. There is fear there, carefully hidden behind a mask of Jedi serenity, but fear nonetheless. Good. Fear can be cultivated. Fear can be shaped into something useful. Palpatine also reaches out to his network of agents and informants throughout the Republic. He needs eyes on the boy. He needs to know everything about his training, his progress, his relationships, his weaknesses. Information is power, and Palpatine intends to gather as much of it as possible. The reports begin flowing in almost immediately. Anakin has been accepted as Obi-Wan Kenobi's Padawan. The young knight insisted on fulfilling his master's dying wish, despite the Council's reservations. Palpatine files this information away for later use. The bond between Anakin and Obi-Wan could be a vulnerability, or it could be an obstacle. Either way, it bears watching. Meanwhile, Palpatine maintains his public facade of benevolent interest in the boy. He arranges a brief meeting with Anakin before the young Padawan leaves Naboo, offering words of encouragement and support. He plays the role of the kindly politician perfectly, his smile warm and genuine seeming, his handshake firm but gentle. But even as he speaks words of hope and promise, Palpatine is studying the boy with the cold calculation of a predator assessing prey. He notes the way Anakin responds to praise, the hunger in his eyes for approval and validation. He notes the undercurrent of fear that runs beneath the boy's bravado, the lingering trauma of a childhood spent in bondage. He notes the fierce, protective love Anakin already shows for those he cares about, and the equally fierce anger that flashes in his eyes when he speaks of injustice. All of these things can be exploited. All of these things can be used against him. You have a great destiny ahead of you, Anakin. Palpatine speaks the words with perfect sincerity. I have no doubt that you will make us all proud. Anakin beams at the praise, his young face lighting up with joy. He does not sense the calculation behind the Chancellor's kind words. He does not feel the fear and hatred lurking beneath the benevolent mask. Thank you, Chancellor. I promise I will do my best. I know you will, my boy. I know you will. And Palpatine smiles, already planning how to ensure that Anakin's best will never be good enough. The years pass slowly, marked by the steady rhythm of galactic politics and the gradual escalation of tensions that Palpatine carefully nurtures. The separatist movement grows, fueled by legitimate grievances and the machinations of Count Dooku, Palpatine's secret apprentice. The Republic strains under the weight of corruption and inefficiency, and all the while, Palpatine watches young Anakin Skywalker grow into something that terrifies him more with each passing year. The boy is a prodigy. Even with the obstacles Palpatine places in his path, even with the whispered doubts he seeds among the Jedi Council, Anakin's talent cannot be denied. His connection to the Force grows stronger with each passing month. His combat skills surpass those of Padawans twice his age. His intuition borders on precognition, allowing him to anticipate dangers before they materialize. Palpatine receives regular reports from his agents within the Jedi Temple. Each one makes his blood run cold. Subject displayed unprecedented control of telekinesis during training exercise. Moved objects without visible effort that would strain fully trained knights. Subject successfully predicted the outcome of a council vote 3 days before it occurred. When questioned, claimed it was just a feeling, subject engaged in lightsaber sparring with Master Dralig. Match was declared a body-winning draw, but observers noted that subject was holding back for most of the bout. Holding back. The phrase haunts Palpatine. Even now, even as a teenage Padawan, Anakin is already holding back his true abilities. What will he be capable of when he stops holding back entirely? The answer comes to Palpatine in his nightmares. Visions of fire and destruction, of a galaxy remade in the image of Anakin's rage. He wakes from these dreams sweating and gasping, his sheets twisted around him like burial shrouds. He must do more. The subtle sabotage is not enough. Palpatine begins a new campaign of manipulation, this time targeting Anakin's relationships within the Order. He feeds information to the Council through carefully constructed channels. Reports that paint Anakin as unstable, potentially dangerous, too emotional to be trusted. He ensures that Anakin is given missions that will frustrate him, tasks that will make him feel undervalued and underutilized. At the same time, Palpatine maintains his facade of friendship with the young Padawan. He arranges meetings whenever Anakin is on Coruscant, offering a sympathetic ear for the boy's frustrations. He plays the role of the understanding mentor perfectly, always agreeing with Anakin's complaints about the Council, while subtly reinforcing the narrative that the Jedi do not truly appreciate him. It is a delicate balance. Palpatine must keep Anakin frustrated enough to stunt his growth, but not so frustrated that he leaves the Order entirely. An Anakin outside the Jedi framework would be far more dangerous than one trapped within it. The Clone Wars change everything. When war erupts across the galaxy, Palpatine finds himself in an unexpected position. On one hand, the conflict serves his larger goals perfectly. The war will weaken the Republic, strengthen his emergency powers, and eventually pave the way for the empire he has spent his life building toward. On the other hand, the war puts Anakin Skywalker on the front lines, where his abilities can flourish in ways they never could within the peaceful confines of the Jedi Temple. Palpatine watches with growing unease as Anakin becomes a war hero. The young Jedi Knight leads clone troopers into battle after battle, winning victories that should be impossible against overwhelming odds. His tactics are brilliant, his courage unquestionable, his connection to the Force, a weapon that turns the tide of engagements that should have been losses. The holonet is filled with stories of the hero with no fear. Anakin Skywalker has become a symbol of Republic resilience, a beacon of hope in dark times. And with each victory, Palpatine can feel the boy's power growing stronger. He must accelerate his plans. Palpatine begins feeding faulty intelligence to Republic Command, ensuring that Anakin's missions are plagued with unexpected complications. Supply lines are disrupted. Reinforcements arrive late or not at all. Enemy positions are misreported, leading to ambushes and near disasters. But Anakin overcomes each obstacle. Every trap Palpatine sets, every complication he engineers, the young Jedi finds a way through. His adaptability is infuriating, his resilience is terrifying, and his power continues to grow. Palpatine also works to maintain the Council's distrust of Anakin. He ensures that every victory is accompanied by whispered concerns about the methods used to achieve it. Was Anakin too aggressive? Did he take unnecessary risks? Did his emotional attachments compromise his judgment? The Council listens to these whispers. They have their own doubts about the Chosen One, fears that Palpatine has carefully nurtured over the years. They criticize Anakin for successes that should earn praise. They question decisions that proved correct. They hold him to standards that no other Jedi could meet, and then condemn him for falling short. Anakin feels every slight, every criticism, every moment of doubt directed at him. Palpatine can sense the frustration building within the young knight, the resentment growing like a tumor in his soul. Good. Let him doubt the Order. Let him question their wisdom. Just not too much. Never too much. The balancing act grows more difficult with each passing month. One evening, Anakin comes to Palpatine's office in the Senate building. He has just returned from a campaign in the Outer Rim, a brutal series of engagements that cost the lives of thousands of clones, and left Anakin himself with wounds both physical and emotional. The Council has already criticized him for the losses, ignoring the fact that the campaign ultimately succeeded in liberating 3 systems from separatist control. Anakin paces the Chancellor's office like a caged animal, his frustration radiating through the Force in waves that make Palpatine's teeth ache. I do not understand them. Anakin's voice is tight, with barely contained anger. We won. We freed those people. And all they can talk about is the cost, as if I do not already carry those deaths with me every moment of every day. Palpatine listens with apparent sympathy, his expression carefully crafted to convey understanding and support. Internally, he is calculating, assessing, looking for the angle that will keep Anakin off balance without pushing him over the edge. The Council has always been set in their ways, my boy. They fear change. They fear power that they cannot control. And you, Anakin, represent both of those things. Anakin stops pacing and turns to face the Chancellor. His eyes are haunted, tired, filled with a pain that goes far deeper than physical exhaustion. Sometimes I wonder if they will ever accept me, if I will ever be more than the chosen one to them. Just another prophecy to be managed, another variable in their endless calculations. Palpatine rises from his chair and crosses to where Anakin stands. He places a fatherly hand on the young man's shoulder, projecting warmth and understanding through the Force. You are so much more than that, Anakin. The prophecy speaks of your potential, but it does not define you. You define yourself through your actions, through your choices, and your actions have shown you to be one of the greatest heroes this Republic has ever known. Anakin's expression softens slightly at the praise, but the doubt remains in his eyes. Then why does it never feel that way? Palpatine sighs, as if sharing in Anakin's burden. Because the Jedi Order has lost its way. They have become so focused on their rules, their traditions, their fear of the dark side, that they have forgotten what it truly means to serve the galaxy. You see this clearly, Anakin. That is why they fear you. You represent a different path, a way of being a Jedi that challenges everything they believe. It is a dangerous thing to say. Palpatine knows he is walking a fine line, stoking Anakin's resentment while trying to keep it contained. But he needs the young Jedi off balance, needs him doubting his place in the Order, needs him too distracted by internal conflict to fully embrace his potential. Anakin is silent for a long moment, processing the Chancellor's words. When he speaks again, his voice is quieter, more controlled. Master Obi-Wan believes in me. He always has, even when no one else did. Palpatine suppresses a flash of irritation. Kenobi. Always Kenobi. The bond between master and apprentice has proven harder to erode than Palpatine anticipated. No matter what doubts he plants, no matter what obstacles he creates, Obi-Wan Kenobi remains steadfastly loyal to his former Padawan. Of course he does. Palpatine keeps his voice warm, hiding his frustration. Obi-Wan is a good man, and he sees your true worth. But one ally on the Council is not enough, Anakin. You need more. You need supporters who can help you reach your full potential. And how do I find them? Palpatine smiles, the expression calculated to appear both wise and slightly sad. By being patient, by continuing to prove yourself, and by trusting those who truly have your best interests at heart. Like you, Chancellor? The question is innocent, almost naive. Anakin has no idea of the true nature of the man standing before him. He sees only the kindly politician who has supported him from the beginning, the one consistent ally in a world that seems determined to tear him down. Palpatine meets the young Jedi's eyes and lies with perfect sincerity. Yes, Anakin, like me. But even as he speaks the words, Palpatine is already planning his next move. The war is escalating. Anakin's power is growing, and the window of opportunity for containing the Chosen One is closing rapidly. More direct measures may be necessary. Count Dooku kneels before the holographic image of his master, his aged face carefully blank. The transmission is heavily encrypted, bounced through a dozen relay stations to ensure it cannot be traced. Even so, both men know the risk they take with each communication. The Jedi are searching for Darth Sidious. They must never find him. The Skywalker boy grows stronger. Palpatine's voice is cold, stripped of the warmth he shows in his public persona. Our efforts to contain him have proven insufficient. Dooku nods slowly. He has faced Anakin in battle. He knows firsthand the terrifying potential that lurks within the young Jedi. I have felt his power, my master. It is considerable, but surely with proper guidance, he could still be turned to our cause. No, the word is sharp, final. I have foreseen his path. If he ever fully embraces the dark side, he will not be content as an apprentice. He will destroy us both. The rule of two demands that the apprentice eventually surpass the master. But with Skywalker, that day would come far sooner than we could prepare for. Dooku processes this information. He has always known that his position as Sidious's apprentice was temporary. The Sith way demands eventual conflict between master and student. But to hear his master speak of Anakin Skywalker as a threat that surpasses even their carefully laid plans gives him pause. What would you have me do? The holographic image flickers for a moment, then stabilizes. When Palpatine speaks again, his voice is like ice. The boy must be eliminated. I have tried to stunt his growth, to keep him contained within the limits of Jedi doctrine. It has not worked. He continues to grow stronger despite every obstacle. If this continues, he will eventually become a threat that neither of us can counter. Dooku's expression remains neutral, but internally, he is calculating rapidly. Killing Anakin Skywalker would be no simple task. The young Jedi is already one of the most formidable warriors in the galaxy, and his power continues to increase with each passing month. A direct assassination would be difficult to accomplish without exposing ourselves. The boy is rarely alone, and his connection to the Force would warn him of approaching danger. I am aware of the challenges. Palpatine's tone brooks no argument. That is why you will not act alone. You will coordinate with Ventress. Together, you should be able to overwhelm him. Ventress? Dooku raises an eyebrow. She is skilled, but hardly in Skywalker's league. She does not need to defeat him. She only needs to distract him long enough for you to strike the killing blow. I will engineer an opportunity. A mission that will take Skywalker to a remote location, far from any reinforcements. You will ambush him there and end this threat permanently. Dooku considers the plan. It is risky. Anakin Skywalker has escaped death countless times before. But with both Dooku and Ventress attacking together, with the element of surprise on their side, it might be possible. And if we fail? The temperature in the room seems to drop several degrees as Palpatine responds. Do not fail. The hologram flickers and dies, leaving Dooku alone in the darkness of his meditation chamber. He remains kneeling for a long moment, processing the implications of what he has just been ordered to do. Kill the Chosen One. Remove the greatest potential threat to Sith dominance. It should feel like an honor, a mission of vital importance to everything they are building. Instead, Dooku feels something he has not experienced in many years. Doubt. He has always believed in the Sith way, the pursuit of power, the embrace of passion, the willingness to do whatever is necessary to achieve one's goals. These things have guided him since he left the Jedi Order, since he pledged himself to Sidious's cause. But now he wonders. If Anakin Skywalker is truly as powerful as Sidious fears, what does that mean for the future of the Sith? What does it mean that their ancient prophecy seems to be coming true in a way that terrifies even the most powerful Sith Lord in generations? Dooku pushes these thoughts aside. Doubt is weakness, and weakness is death. He has his orders. He will carry them out. Rising from his kneeling position, he activates his communicator to summon Ventress. They have an ambush to plan. Across the galaxy, Anakin Skywalker sleeps in his quarters aboard a Republic cruiser. His dreams are troubled, filled with visions of fire and shadow, of loved ones crying out in pain, of a darkness that threatens to consume everything he holds dear. He wakes with a start, his heart pounding, his sheets soaked with sweat. For a moment, he cannot remember where he is. Then the familiar hum of the ship's engines brings him back to reality. Just dreams. He tells himself this every night, but the assurance grows less convincing with each passing week. The Force is trying to tell him something. He can feel it, like an itch in the back of his mind that he cannot quite scratch. There is danger ahead. Betrayal. Death. But whose death? And from what direction will the betrayal come? Anakin sits up in his bed and reaches for his lightsaber, finding comfort in its familiar weight. Whatever is coming, he will face it. He has faced death before and emerged stronger. He has overcome every obstacle placed in his path. He will overcome this too. Outside his window, the stars wheel past in endless procession, uncaring and eternal. Somewhere out there, his enemies are plotting his destruction. But Anakin does not know this yet. He knows only that the Force is disturbed, that something is wrong, and that he must be ready for whatever comes next. He does not go back to sleep that night. Instead, he meditates, reaching out with the Force to touch the currents of destiny that swirl around him. The answers he seeks remain frustratingly out of reach, hidden behind veils of possibility and uncertainty. But one thing is clear: change is coming. And when it arrives, nothing will ever be the same again. The mission briefing comes 3 days later. Anakin stands in the war room of the Jedi Temple, surrounded by holographic displays showing a remote system in the Outer Rim. The world is called Veractyl IV, a rocky planet of limited strategic value that has recently come to the Republic's attention. Intelligence suggests a hidden, separatist facility. The holographic image of Master Windu stands rigid, his expression unreadable as always. Long-range scans have detected power signatures consistent with a droid manufacturing plant. If this facility exists, it could be producing reinforcements for enemy forces throughout the sector. Anakin studies the tactical display, noting the planet's harsh terrain and limited approach vectors. The mission makes sense on its face, but something about it feels wrong. The intelligence seems too convenient, too perfectly designed to justify sending a single Jedi to investigate. Why send only one knight? Anakin keeps his voice neutral, but he cannot quite suppress his suspicion. If this facility is as significant as the reports suggest, would it not warrant a larger force? Windu's holographic form flickers slightly before responding. Our resources are stretched thin across multiple fronts. The Council believes a single skilled operative can assess the situation and determine whether a larger response is warranted. You are the best suited for this type of reconnaissance mission. The logic is sound, but Anakin's instincts continue to protest. He has learned to trust those instincts over the years. They have saved his life more times than he can count. I understand, Master. When do I leave? Immediately. May the Force be with you. The hologram fades, leaving Anakin alone in the war room. He stands there for a long moment, staring at the tactical display of Varactyl 4. The planet seems to stare back at him, its rocky surface hiding secrets that he cannot quite perceive. Something is wrong. He can feel it in his bones, in the pit of his stomach, in the way the Force seems to twist and shimmer around this mission, like heat rising from desert sand. But he is a Jedi. He has his orders. And whatever awaits him on that distant world, he will face it with the courage and skill that have carried him through countless battles. Anakin gathers his equipment and heads for the hangar bay. Behind him, the tactical display continues to glow softly, showing the planet that will soon become the site of his greatest test. The journey to Varactyl 4 takes 3 days of hyperspace travel. Anakin spends the time in meditation and preparation, trying to shake the sense of unease that has followed him since the briefing. The Force remains disturbed, clouded in ways he cannot fully interpret. He reaches out multiple times to touch the minds of those he cares about. Obi-Wan is on the other side of the galaxy, leading a campaign against separatist forces in the corporate sector. Padme is safe on Coruscant, her presence in the Force a warm beacon that Anakin returns to again and again. These connections ground him, remind him of what he is fighting for, but they also make him aware of how alone he truly is on this mission. If something goes wrong on Varactyl 4, help will be a very long time coming. The planet emerges from hyperspace as a gray and brown sphere, its surface scarred by ancient volcanic activity. Anakin scans for the power signatures mentioned in the briefing and finds them easily enough, emanating from a canyon system near the planet's equator. Too easily, perhaps. The readings are strong, obvious, almost as if someone wants him to find them. Anakin shakes off the paranoid thought and begins his approach. Whatever awaits him down there, speculation will not help him deal with it. Only action will. He lands his fighter in a rocky canyon, about 2 kilometers from the target coordinates. The terrain is harsh, all jagged stone and deep shadows, the kind of landscape that could hide an army of droids or a handful of assassins with equal ease. Anakin climbs out of his cockpit and takes a deep breath of the thin, dusty air. The Force hums with warning here, a constant low-level alert that sets his nerves on edge. Something is very wrong. He draws his lightsaber but does not ignite it, keeping the weapon ready as he begins making his way toward the target coordinates. The canyon walls rise high on either side, limiting his visibility and his options for retreat. Perfect ambush territory. The thought has barely formed in his mind when the attack begins. Ventress descends from above, her twin red blades igniting as she screams toward him like a vengeful spirit. Anakin ignites his own blade just in time to catch her opening strike, the impact of their collision sending sparks showering across the rocky ground. Skywalker. Ventress's voice drips with venom and anticipation. I have been looking forward to this. Anakin does not waste breath on a response. He shoves her back and spins to face the new threat emerging from the shadows. Count Dooku steps into view, his curved lightsaber humming with deadly precision, his aged face set in an expression of cold determination. Two of them, working together. This is not a random encounter or a chance meeting. This is a coordinated assassination attempt. The realization crystallizes in Anakin's mind with perfect clarity. Someone sent him here to die. He does not have time to process the implications. Ventress is already pressing her attack from the left, while Dooku advances from the right. They move with the coordination of fighters who have practiced together. Their styles complementary, their timing precise. Anakin falls into the rhythm of combat, his blade moving in a blur to deflect strikes from both directions. He gives ground slowly, drawing them into the narrow confines of the canyon, where their numerical advantage is somewhat offset by the limited space. Ventress comes in high, both blades sweeping toward his head. Anakin ducks under the strike and ripostes toward her midsection, forcing her to twist away. But the movement leaves him open to Dooku, who thrusts his blade forward in a precise lunge that nearly takes Anakin through the chest. Anakin pivots at the last moment, feeling the heat of Dooku's blade pass inches from his body. He responds with a powerful overhand strike that the Count parries with apparent ease, their blades locking for a moment before Anakin disengages and leaps back to create distance. The two Sith press forward, not giving him time to recover. Ventress attacks with wild aggression, while Dooku provides measured, precise strikes that keep Anakin off balance. They are not trying to outlast him. They are trying to overwhelm him through sheer pressure and coordination. Anakin feels his frustration rising as he continues to give ground. He is fighting defensively, reactively, always responding to their attacks, rather than imposing his own will on the battle. This is not how he wins fights. This is how he loses them. He needs to change the dynamic. Reaching out with the Force, Anakin rips a massive boulder from the canyon wall and hurls it at Ventress. She dodges, but the maneuver forces her to break off her attack and creates a momentary opening. Anakin surges forward, pouring all his speed and aggression into a devastating assault on Count Dooku. His blade becomes a storm of blue fire, raining blows from every angle. The Count's eyes widen slightly as he struggles to keep up, his carefully honed technique pushed to its limits by the ferocity of the attack. For a moment, Anakin feels the tide turning. For a moment, he believes he can win this fight. Then Ventress recovers and rejoins the battle, her blades slashing at his back. Anakin is forced to spin and defend, losing his momentum against Dooku. The Count immediately counterattacks, and Anakin finds himself once again fighting on two fronts. The battle continues through the canyon, a deadly dance of light and shadow. Anakin fights with everything he has, but his opponents are relentless. Every time he creates an advantage against one, the other intervenes. Every opening he exploits closes before he can capitalize on it. Ventress scores a hit on his arm, her blade burning through his sleeve and searing the flesh beneath. Anakin grits his teeth against the pain and retaliates with a force push that sends her tumbling across the rocky ground. But the momentary distraction costs him. Dooku's force lightning erupts from his fingertips, catching Anakin full in the chest. The electricity courses through his body, setting every nerve on fire, locking his muscles in agonizing spasms. Anakin drops to his knees, his lightsaber falling from nerveless fingers. The lightning continues to pour into him, Dooku's face twisted with concentration as he channels the dark side into a killing blow. "It is over, Skywalker." Dooku's voice seems to come from very far away, muffled by the roaring in Anakin's ears. The Chosen One falls here. Anakin looks up at the Count through a haze of pain and exhaustion. He can feel his body failing, his systems shutting down under the relentless assault of Sith lightning. This is death. This is the end of everything he has fought for. And then something breaks loose inside him. It starts as a spark, a tiny flicker of power in the depths of his being. But it grows rapidly, exponentially, feeding on his pain and fear and rage, until it becomes a conflagration that threatens to consume everything in its path. Anakin's eyes flash yellow, not the sickly yellow of Sith corruption, but something brighter, something primal, something that has been waiting inside him his entire life, held back by training and discipline, and the desperate need to prove himself worthy. No more holding back. The force around Anakin warps and twists like reality itself, is bending to his will. Dooku's lightning, which should be killing him, suddenly reverses course. The Count barely has time to register what is happening before his own power comes roaring back at him, doubled in intensity. Dooku screams and throws himself aside, breaking off the attack to save his own life. But Anakin is already rising, already moving, his body responding to his will with a speed and power that he has never experienced before. Ventress charges from behind, both blades raised for a killing strike. Anakin does not even turn around. He simply extends his hand, and she slams into an invisible wall of force energy that stops her cold. Then he clenches his fist, and she is hurled backward with such violence that she crashes through a stone pillar and lies still among the rubble. Dooku stares at the young man before him with something approaching genuine terror. This is not the Anakin Skywalker he has faced before. This is something else entirely. Something that makes the Count's considerable power look like a flickering candle in a hurricane. What are you? Anakin advances on him, his movements fluid and predatory. His lightsaber leaps from the ground into his hand, igniting with a snap hiss that echoes through the canyon like a death sentence. I am what you helped create. Dooku raises his blade and calls upon every technique he has learned in his long life. He has dueled the greatest swordsman the galaxy has ever known. He has faced Jedi Masters and Sith Lords and emerged victorious. He is Count Dooku, the most elegant fighter of his generation. None of it matters. Anakin tears through his defenses like they are made of paper. Each strike comes harder than the last, each movement pushing Dooku further back toward the canyon wall. The Count tries to counter with lightning, but Anakin catches it on his blade and hurls it aside. He tries to use the Force to throw debris, but Anakin bats the projectiles away without breaking stride. There is no technique that can save Dooku now. There is no trick or stratagem that can turn this tide. He is facing raw power unleashed, the full potential of the Chosen One, finally expressed without restraint. A savage overhand blow smashes through Dooku's guard and sends his lightsaber flying. Force push slams him against the canyon wall, pinning him there like an insect on a display board. And then Anakin is there, his yellow eyes burning with terrible intensity, his blade hovering inches from the Count's throat. Who sent you? The question is calm, almost conversational, but it carries an undercurrent of menace that makes Dooku's blood run cold. We are enemies. Is that not reason enough? Anakin's blade moves fractionally closer, close enough that Dooku can feel its heat against his skin. Do not lie to me. This ambush was too well coordinated, too perfectly timed. Someone fed me that intelligence. Someone wanted me on this planet, alone and vulnerable. Who? Dooku considers his options. They are severely limited. He could try to break free, but Anakin's Force grip is like a vice. He could lie, but something tells him that would be a very bad idea. The creature before him is not the impulsive young Jedi he has faced before. This is something far more dangerous and far less forgiving. The truth, then, perhaps it will buy him his life. Perhaps it will at least buy him a quick death rather than a slow one. Palpatine. The name comes out as barely more than a whisper. The Chancellor. He orchestrated this entire mission. He fears you, Skywalker. He fears what you will become. He ordered your death because he believes you will destroy him if he allows you to reach your full potential. Anakin stares at him for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Dooku can feel the young man reaching out with the Force, testing the truth of his words, probing for deception. He finds none, because there is none. Dooku is telling the truth, and they both know it. The Chancellor. Anakin's voice is flat, emotionless. My friend, my mentor, the one man in the Republic I thought I could trust. He is a Sith Lord, Darth Sidious. He has been manipulating the Republic for decades, positioning himself to become Emperor. The war, the clones, the Separatists, all of it has been his design. And you, Chosen One, are the one variable he cannot control. The one threat he cannot manage, so he decided to eliminate you instead. Anakin processes this information in silence. The yellow slowly fades from his eyes, replaced by something colder, something more calculated. Tell me everything. It is not a request. Dooku talks. He tells Anakin about Sidious's plans, about the years of manipulation, about the secret communications and hidden agendas. He reveals the existence of Order 66, the contingency that will turn the clone army against the Jedi at a single command. He exposes the depth of corruption at the heart of the Republic, the rot that has been spreading for generations under the guidance of the Sith. By the time he finishes, Anakin's expression has gone completely blank. The young Jedi stands motionless, his lightsaber still ignited, but no longer threatening, his eyes focused on something far beyond the canyon walls. Why are you telling me this? Dooku manages something that might be a laugh if it did not hurt so much. Because my master just sent me to die. He threw me away like a broken tool. If I am going to die regardless, I would rather it be after ensuring he joins me. Anakin considers this for a long moment. Then he deactivates his lightsaber and releases his Force grip, letting Dooku slump to the ground. You will live. For now. But if I discover you have lied to me about any of this, there is no place in the galaxy where you can hide. I have not lied. Dooku rubs his bruised throat, looking up at the young man who just defeated him so thoroughly. Be careful, Skywalker. Sidious has had decades to prepare for any threat. He will not be easy to destroy. I am not the same person who walked into this canyon. Anakin turns and begins walking toward his fighter. Whatever preparations he has made, they were not made for me. Not for what I am now. Behind him, Dooku watches him go. The Count has witnessed many things in his long life, but he has never seen anything quite like what just happened here. The Chosen One has awakened, and the galaxy will never be the same. Ventress groans and stirs in the rubble where she fell. Dooku limps toward her, his body aching from the beating it just endured. She looks up at him with dazed eyes, struggling to understand what happened. Did we win? No. Dooku helps her to her feet, his expression grim. We lost. Badly. But we may have won something else entirely. What do you mean? Dooku looks toward the distant speck of Anakin's fighter, rising into the sky. I mean that Sidious just made the worst mistake of his life. He tried to kill the Chosen One, and all he accomplished was setting him free. Whatever happens next, our master is going to regret this day for the rest of his very short life. Ventress stares at him. then at the departing fighter, then back at him. What do we do now? Dooku considers the question. His loyalty to Sidious is broken, shattered by the betrayal he just experienced. His body is damaged, his pride wounded, his faith in the Sith way deeply shaken. He has nothing left except his skills and his hatred for the man who threw him away. Now we decide whose side we are on. And we hope that when Skywalker comes for Sidious, he remembers that we told him the truth. The journey back to Coruscant is the longest of Anakin's life. He spends it in meditation, processing the revelations that Dooku shared, wrestling with the implications of everything he has learned. Palpatine is a Sith Lord. The words echo in his mind, over and over, refusing to be silenced. The Chancellor is Darth Sidious. My friend, my mentor, my supporter, has been my enemy all along. The sense of betrayal is overwhelming. Anakin has experienced loss before. He has experienced disappointment and frustration and rage. But this is something different. This is a fundamental reordering of his understanding of reality, a revelation that casts everything he has experienced in a new and terrible light. The years of sabotage suddenly make sense. The missions that went wrong, the intelligence that proved faulty, the constant undermining of his reputation within the Order. All of it was Palpatine's doing. The man who pretended to be his greatest ally was actually his most dangerous enemy, working tirelessly to keep him weak and confused and off balance. And the assassination attempt. Palpatine tried to have him killed. The kindly Chancellor who offered words of encouragement and sympathy, who played the role of the understanding mentor, ordered his death without hesitation when he decided that Anakin could no longer be controlled. The rage builds slowly, a cold fire that burns in the depths of Anakin's being. He has felt anger before, many times, but this is different. This is not the hot, explosive fury that he has struggled to control throughout his life. This is something colder, more focused, more dangerous. This is the anger of a man who has been utterly and completely betrayed, and it demands satisfaction. But Anakin does not rush to confront Palpatine. The old Anakin might have done that. The impulsive, emotional young Jedi who let his feelings drive his actions would have charged into the Senate building and demanded answers. The man who walked out of that canyon is different. He has tasted the depths of his own power. He has felt what it means to truly let go, to embrace the fullness of his potential without restraint or limitation. And he understands now why Palpatine feared him. That fear was justified. Anakin is capable of things that should terrify anyone who might stand against him. But power alone is not enough. Palpatine has been building his web of influence for decades. He has allies throughout the government, agents embedded in every institution that matters, contingency plans for every conceivable threat. A direct assault would be satisfying, but it might not be successful. And even if Anakin managed to kill the Chancellor, the consequences could tear the Republic apart. No. This requires planning. This requires allies. This requires patience. Anakin reaches out through the Force, touching the mind of the one person he has always trusted. The one person who never gave up on him, even when everyone else did. Obi-Wan responds immediately, his presence in the Force warm and familiar. There is concern there, and curiosity, and the deep, abiding love that has characterized their relationship from the beginning. Anakin? Is something wrong? Everything, but not in the way you might think. I need to see you, Master. There are things you need to know. I am in the middle of a campaign. It may be weeks before I can return to Coruscant. This cannot wait weeks. Find a way, please. There is a long pause as Obi-Wan processes the urgency in Anakin's mental voice. Then, finally, acceptance. I will make arrangements. Where should we meet? Anakin considers the question. Not Coruscant. Palpatine has eyes everywhere on that world. Not any Republic military installation, for the same reason. They need somewhere private, somewhere secure, somewhere that the Chancellor's agents cannot easily reach. Tatooine. The name comes to him unbidden, carrying with it a complex mix of painful memories and hard-won strength. No one will think to look for us there, and there are things I need to face there anyway. Tatooine. Obi-Wan's mental voice carries a note of understanding. He knows what that world means to Anakin, the trauma and loss that it represents. Very well. I will meet you at the coordinates you send. But Anakin, whatever this is about, know that I am with you. Whatever has happened, we will face it together. The words bring an unexpected warmth to Anakin's heart. Despite everything, despite the betrayals and the doubts and the constant criticism, Obi-Wan has never wavered. He has always believed in Anakin, always supported him, always been there when it mattered most. Thank you, Master, for everything. The connection fades, leaving Anakin alone with his thoughts once more. But the loneliness is not quite as crushing as it was before. He has an ally. He has a plan. And he has a purpose that goes beyond simple revenge. Palpatine will fall. The Sith Lord who has manipulated the galaxy for decades will be exposed and destroyed. But it will be done carefully, methodically, in a way that ensures not just his defeat, but the complete dismantling of everything he has built. Anakin Skywalker is coming for him. And this time, there will be no escape. The twin suns of Tatooine hang low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the endless dunes. Anakin stands at the edge of a rocky outcropping, looking out over the landscape that shaped his earliest years. The wind carries the scent of dust and heat, familiar smells that drag up memories he has spent a lifetime trying to bury. This world made him. Its harshness forged his resilience. Its cruelties taught him to hate injustice. Its suns watched over him as he dreamed of escape, of becoming something more than a slave. Now he has returned as one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and he carries within him a darkness that could consume everything the boy he once was ever hoped to protect. Anakin senses Obi-Wan's approach before he sees his ship descending through the atmosphere. The familiar presence touches his mind, warm and concerned, and Anakin allows himself a moment of gratitude that some things, at least, have remained constant. The ship lands nearby, its engines kicking up clouds of sand that swirl and dance in the evening light. Obi-Wan emerges moments later, his Jedi robes rippling in the wind, his expression carefully neutral despite the concern that radiates through the Force. Anakin. He crosses the distance between them and places a hand on his former Padawan's shoulder. I came as quickly as I could. What has happened? Anakin looks at the man who has been his mentor, his teacher, and his closest friend for more than a decade. He sees the lines of worry on Obi-Wan's face, the gray that has begun to creep into his beard, the weariness that comes from years of endless war. How much of that weariness is Palpatine's doing? How many of the burdens Obi-Wan carries were placed there by the machinations of a Sith Lord hiding in plain sight? I need to tell you something. Anakin's voice is calm, but there is an undercurrent of intensity that makes Obi-Wan's hand tighten on his shoulder. Something that will change everything you think you know about the Republic, the war, and the Chancellor. Obi-Wan studies his face for a long moment. Whatever questions he might have, whatever doubts or concerns might be forming in his mind, he sets them aside. Tell me, And Anakin does. He tells Obi-Wan everything, starting from the ambush on Varactyl 4 and working backward through the years of sabotage and manipulation. He reveals Palpatine's true identity as Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord who has been controlling the war from both sides. He explains the scope of the conspiracy, the depth of the corruption, the terrible truth about Order 66, and the fate that awaits the Jedi if Palpatine is not stopped. By the time he finishes, the suns have set, and the stars have emerged in their countless thousands. Obi-Wan sits on a nearby rock, his face pale in the starlight, his presence in the Force, turbulent with shock and disbelief. The Chancellor. Obi-Wan's voice is barely above a whisper. All this time, all these years, we have been serving a Sith Lord. Yes, and he tried to have you killed, because he fears what you might become. Anakin nods slowly, his expression grim. Obi-Wan is silent for a long moment, processing the implications. Then he looks up at Anakin with something new in his eyes. Understanding, perhaps. Or recognition of a truth he has long suspected, but never allowed himself to fully acknowledge. Something happened to you in that canyon. Something more than just surviving an assassination attempt. I can feel it. You are different now, Anakin. More focused, more controlled, and more powerful than I have ever sensed you to be. Anakin meets his gaze without flinching. When they pushed me to the edge, something broke loose. Something I have been holding back my entire life. The Council always told me to suppress my emotions, to control my power, to fit myself into the mold of what a Jedi should be. And I tried. I tried so hard. But they were asking me to be less than what I am. Obi-Wan nods slowly. He has watched Anakin struggle with this conflict for years, has seen the tension between his incredible potential and the rigid expectations of the Order. And now I understand. Anakin's voice carries a weight that makes the very air seem to grow heavier. The light side, the dark side, they are both part of the Force, both part of me. I am not meant to choose between them. I am meant to hold them both. That is what the prophecy means. That is what balance truly is. Obi-Wan considers this for a long moment. It runs counter to everything he has been taught, everything the Jedi Order has believed for generations. The dark side is corruption. The dark side is evil. The dark side must be resisted at all costs. And yet, he has seen Anakin grow. He has watched him struggle against the rigid constraints of Jedi doctrine, has witnessed the damage those constraints have caused. He has felt the vast potential that lies within his former Padawan, power that has always been restrained, limited, held back by rules that were never designed for someone like him. Perhaps the Order was wrong. Perhaps their fear of the dark side blinded them to a deeper truth about the nature of the Force. Palpatine was right to fear you. Obi-Wan speaks the words without judgment, simply stating a truth that has become undeniable. If what you say is true, if you have truly found a way to embrace both sides of the Force without being consumed by either, then you are something the galaxy has never seen before. The question is what I do with it. Anakin turns to look at the stars, his expression thoughtful. I could destroy Palpatine. I felt it in that canyon. I felt what I'm capable of when I stop holding back. But if I do that, if I unleash everything I have without thought or planning, I might bring down more than just him. I might tear the Republic apart. Then we plan carefully. Obi-Wan rises from his rock and stands beside his former Padawan. We gather allies, we collect evidence, and when the time comes, we strike with precision instead of rage. Anakin glances at him, a faint smile touching his lips. Since when do you advocate for anything other than direct action, Master? Since I realized that my former Padawan has become wiser than his teacher. Obi-Wan returns the smile, though his eyes remain serious. You are right, Anakin. This requires more than brute force. Palpatine has spent decades building his power. We cannot simply cut off the head of the serpent and expect the body to die. We must destroy the entire network he has created, and we will need help to do that. Yes. Obi-Wan's expression grows thoughtful. We need members of the Council who can be trusted. Windu has always had his doubts about Palpatine. Yoda sees more than he lets on. If we can convince them of the truth, we will have powerful allies. Anakin considers this. The Council has never fully trusted him. They have spent years viewing him with suspicion and doubt, keeping him at arm's length despite his accomplishments. But Obi-Wan is right. If they are going to expose and destroy Palpatine, they will need the support of the Jedi leadership. What about evidence? We cannot simply make accusations against the Supreme Chancellor without proof. Dooku may be able to help with that. Anakin's voice carries a note of distaste. He knows the full scope of Palpatine's operations. Bank records, communications, the details of how the war has been orchestrated from both sides. If he is willing to share that information, it could be enough to convince even the skeptics. Dooku. Obi-Wan raises an eyebrow. You trust him? No. I trust his hatred. Palpatine betrayed him, sent him to die in that canyon. Whatever loyalty he once had to his master is gone now. He wants revenge as badly as I do. Then we reach out to him, carefully, and we begin building the case that will bring Palpatine down. Anakin nods, feeling the weight of the task ahead settling onto his shoulders. It will not be easy. Palpatine has had decades to prepare for threats to his power. He will have contingencies in place, agents ready to act at a moment's notice, plans within plans designed to protect his position. But for the first time in his life, Anakin feels truly confident that he can succeed. Not because of arrogance or blind faith, but because he has finally understood what he is. He has finally embraced the full scope of his power, the chosen one, the one destined to bring balance to the Force. It is time to fulfill that destiny. The weeks that follow are consumed by careful planning and quiet recruitment. Anakin and Obi-Wan work in secret, reaching out to those they believe can be trusted, building a coalition dedicated to exposing and destroying the Sith Lord at the heart of the Republic. Master Windu is the first to join them. The senior council member listens to their evidence with his characteristic intensity, his expression growing darker with each revelation. When Anakin finishes speaking, Windu is silent for a long moment. I have always sensed something wrong with the Chancellor. His voice is heavy with the weight of confirmation, a darkness hidden beneath his pleasant facade. I attributed it to the corruption inherent in politics. I never imagined it was something far worse. Now you know the truth. Anakin meets the Master's gaze without flinching. The question is what we do about it. Windu studies him with new eyes. He has always been suspicious of Anakin, wary of his power and the emotional intensity that drives him. But the young man standing before him now is different from the impulsive Padawan he remembers. There is a focus here, a controlled strength that suggests Anakin has finally found a way to master the forces that once threatened to overwhelm him. We cannot move without solid evidence. Windu's tactical mind is already working through the possibilities. Even with the testimony of council members, accusations against the Supreme Chancellor will be dismissed as political maneuvering, unless we have proof that cannot be denied. We are working on that, Obi-Wan interjects. We have a source who can provide documentation of Palpatine's activities as Darth Sidious. Bank records, communications, operational plans. Everything we need to prove the case. What source? Count Dooku. Windu's expression hardens. You are working with a Sith Lord to bring down another Sith Lord. Dooku was betrayed by his master. Anakin's voice carries no apology. He was sent to kill me and left to die when the mission failed. Whatever loyalty he once had to Palpatine is gone. He wants revenge, and he is willing to provide whatever we need to achieve it. Windu considers this. The ethics of the situation are complex, but he has been a warrior long enough to understand that sometimes you must make use of distasteful alliances to achieve necessary ends. Very well, but I want to verify everything he provides independently. I will not base our actions on the word of a Sith. Understood. Yoda is harder to read. The ancient master listens to their report with his characteristic calm, his eyes half closed, his presence in the Force as unreadable as a still pond. Long have I sensed darkness around the Chancellor. His voice is soft, almost sad. Blinded we were, arrogant, certain that the Sith could not rise without our knowledge. Can we count on your support, Master? Obi-Wan asks. Yoda opens his eyes and looks at each of them in turn. His gaze lingers longest on Anakin, studying the young man with an intensity that seems to see through flesh and bone to the soul beneath. Changed you have, young Skywalker. Found something you have. A balance few ever achieve. Anakin meets the ancient master's gaze. I have found what I was always meant to be. Yoda nods slowly. Then with you I am. Stop this threat we must. Too long in shadow has it grown. With Windu and Yoda committed, others follow. Master Fisto, whose quick wit belies a sharp tactical mind. Master Kun, whose wisdom has guided the Order through countless crises. Master T, whose serenity masks a fierce dedication to justice. Each must be approached separately, convinced of the truth, brought into the conspiracy against the Chancellor. Each brings their own skills and resources to the coalition. Each adds another thread to the web that will eventually ensnare Darth Sidious. Meanwhile, Dooku proves true to his word. Through encrypted channels, he provides a steady stream of evidence documenting Palpatine's activities. Bank records showing transfers to separatist accounts. Communications coordinating attacks on Republic targets. Recordings of strategy sessions in which Sidious directs his forces against the very government he publicly leads. The evidence is damning, incontrovertible, the kind of proof that will convince even the most skeptical observer. But it must be deployed carefully. If Palpatine gets any hint of what they are planning, he will activate his contingencies. Order 66 will turn the clones against the Jedi. His agents throughout the government will move to protect him. The chaos could tear the Republic apart and leave the Sith Lord more powerful than ever. Timing is everything. As the coalition grows, Anakin also takes time to confront other truths that have been haunting him. One evening, as the preparations continue, he finds himself standing before a door he never thought he would approach again. Padme Amidala's apartment on Coruscant. He should not be here. The Jedi Code forbids attachment. The relationship they have maintained in secret could be used against him if it were ever discovered. But Anakin is no longer certain that the code is right about everything. And there are things Padme needs to know. She answers the door with surprise that quickly melts into joy. Anakin, I did not expect to see you. Is everything all right? No. Anakin steps inside and takes her hands in his. Everything has changed. And I need to tell you why. They talk late into the night. Anakin tells her everything he has learned, everything he has experienced, everything he has become. Padme listens with the careful attention of a senator who has spent her life navigating complex political situations, asking questions, probing for inconsistencies, testing the truth of what he is saying. When he finishes, she is quiet for a long moment. The Chancellor is a Sith Lord. Her voice is steady, but her eyes betray the shock she feels. I have known him for years, worked with him, trusted him, and all this time, he has been manipulating everyone. I am sorry. Padme shakes her head. Do not apologize. This is not your fault. If anything, you are the only reason we have a chance to stop him. She reaches up to touch his face, her fingers tracing the familiar contours of his features. You said you have changed, that something happened to you. I can feel it, Anakin. There is a power in you now that was not there before. It should frighten me, but somehow it does not. Are you not afraid of what I might become? Padme meets his eyes with the fierce courage that he has always loved about her. I have never been afraid of you. I have been afraid for you. Afraid of what the galaxy might do to crush the good that I know is inside you. But this feels different. You are not being crushed, Anakin. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. Anakin pulls her close, holding her tightly. For a moment, despite everything, he feels at peace. Whatever happens next, know that I love you. That has never changed. It never will. I know. Padme's voice is muffled against his chest. I love you too. Now go save the galaxy, and come back to me when it is done. The pieces fall into place over the following weeks. The coalition solidifies, the evidence is verified and organized, and the plan to expose and destroy Palpatine takes final shape. The moment they choose is one of apparent vulnerability for the Republic. The bulk of the fleet has been dispatched to reinforce the siege of Mandalore, where separatist holdouts are making a last desperate stand. Coruscant's defenses are reduced to a skeleton force, the Senate building protected only by standard security details. It is a trap, of course. They know that Palpatine engineered this situation, that he wants the Republic forces spread thin for reasons of his own. But it is also an opportunity. With his attention focused on whatever scheme he is advancing, the Chancellor may be slightly less prepared for an attack from within. The evidence is distributed to trusted senators and military commanders, timed to be released simultaneously with the assault on Palpatine's chambers. When the Chancellor falls, the galaxy will know exactly why. There will be no opportunity for spin or damage control. The truth will speak for itself. On the night before the operation, Anakin stands alone on a balcony, overlooking the endless cityscape of Coruscant. Millions of lights stretch to the horizon in every direction, a testament to the civilization that Palpatine has corrupted from within. Tomorrow, it ends. One way or another, the Sith Lord's reign will be over. Obi-Wan joins him on the balcony, 2 cups of tea in hand. He offers one to Anakin, who accepts it with a grateful nod. Are you ready? I have been ready my entire life. I just did not know it until now. Obi-Wan is quiet for a moment, sipping his tea and looking out at the city. I have been thinking about what you said, about the light and the dark, about balance, and I am not certain I fully understand it. The teachings I was raised with, the beliefs I have held my entire life, they tell me that the dark side is corruption, that it must be resisted at all costs. But I have watched you, Anakin. I have seen what you have become, and I cannot deny that there is something right about it, something true. Anakin glances at his former master, surprised by the admission. The Jedi have been wrong about many things. That does not mean everything they taught was false. There is wisdom in their traditions, even if that wisdom has been clouded by fear and rigidity. The key is finding what is true and letting go of what is not. Obi-Wan nods slowly. That sounds like the words of someone wiser than the reckless Padawan I once trained. I had a good teacher. They stand together in comfortable silence, two friends on the eve of a battle that will determine the fate of the galaxy. Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever challenges they must face, they will face them together. And that, in the end, is what matters most. The dawn comes slowly to Coruscant, the first rays of sunlight creeping over the endless towers and spires. The city wakes to what it believes will be just another day of war and politics and mundane concerns. It has no idea that its entire reality is about to change. Anakin gathers the strike team in a secure location near the Senate district. Obi-Wan stands at his side. Master Windu leads a squad of Jedi Knights chosen for their combat prowess and their proven loyalty. Master Fisto and a contingent of clone troopers whose loyalty has been verified complete the assault force. They go over the plan one final time. The evidence is ready to be released. The senators who need to be informed have been contacted. Every contingency has been accounted for, every variable addressed. There is nothing left to do but act. Remember, Anakin addresses the assembled team, his voice steady and sure. Our goal is to apprehend Palpatine if possible, eliminate him if necessary. But the most important thing is to ensure that the truth reaches the public. Whatever happens in that office, the evidence must be released. The galaxy must know what he has done. Heads nod around the room. Everyone understands the stakes. May the Force be with us. Obi-Wan speaks the traditional blessing, and despite everything, despite the doubts and the conflicts and the challenges they have faced, the words feel right. They move out, slipping through the early morning streets of Coruscant like ghosts. The Senate building looms ahead, a monument to democracy that has been secretly corrupted by the very forces it was meant to oppose. Today, that corruption ends. Today, the galaxy begins to heal. The Senate building rises before them like a monument to everything the Republic is supposed to represent. Its grand halls have witnessed countless debates, negotiations, and decisions that shaped galactic history. Within its walls, democracy has struggled to survive against the forces of corruption and self-interest that constantly threaten to overwhelm it. And at the heart of it all, in the Chancellor's private chambers, sits a man who has been working to destroy that democracy from within. Anakin leads the strike team through a service entrance on the building's lower levels. The usual security protocols have been quietly disabled by allies within the Senate Guard, creating a clear path to the upper floors. They move in silence, each member of the team focused on the task ahead. The corridors are eerily quiet at this early hour. A few maintenance droids pass by without notice, their programming unable to recognize the significance of the figures moving through the shadows. The occasional guard is dealt with quickly and quietly, rendered unconscious rather than killed. They are not here to cause unnecessary bloodshed. They are here to end a threat. As they ascend through the building, Anakin feels the familiar tingle of Palpatine's presence in the Force. The Chancellor is in his office, surrounded by his usual coterie of guards and advisors. He appears to be conducting normal business, unaware of the storm that is approaching. Or perhaps he is simply good at hiding his awareness. Palpatine has spent decades masking his true nature from the most powerful Jedi in the galaxy. He is not likely to give himself away now. The strike team reaches the antechamber outside the Chancellor's office. Beyond the heavy doors, Palpatine waits. Between them stands a squad of red-robed guards, the elite protectors who have sworn their lives to defending the leader of the Republic. Windu steps forward, his presence commanding attention. The Chancellor is under arrest for treason against the Republic. Stand aside. The guards hesitate, their training warring with their instincts. They are loyal to Palpatine, but they are also loyal to the Republic. The accusation of treason introduces a conflict they are not prepared to resolve. Before they can decide, the doors to the Chancellor's office slide open. Palpatine stands in the threshold, his expression one of carefully crafted concern and confusion. What is the meaning of this? His voice carries just the right mixture of authority and bewilderment. Master Windu, why have you brought armed Jedi into the Senate building? We have evidence of your true identity, Sidious. Windu's hand moves to his lightsaber. It is over. For a moment, nothing happens. Palpatine stares at the assembled Jedi with an expression of total incomprehension, as if the accusation is so absurd that he cannot process it. Then the mask falls away. It happens in an instant. One moment, the kindly Chancellor stands before them, a picture of wounded dignity. The next, something else entirely fills that space. The temperature seems to drop. The lights flicker. The Force itself seems to recoil from the darkness that suddenly radiates from the figure in the doorway. So, Palpatine's voice has changed, dropping to a cold rasp that carries undertones of ancient malice. You have discovered my secret. I must admit, I am impressed. I did not think the Jedi capable of such insight. The Red Guards move to protect their master, but Palpatine waves them aside. Leave us. This is a matter between Jedi and Sith. The Guards hesitate, their programming and their loyalty pulling them in different directions. But Palpatine's command is absolute, and they withdraw, filing out of the antechamber and leaving the two groups facing each other across the open doorway. You will surrender and face trial. Windu ignites his purple blade, the weapon's hum filling the sudden silence. The Senate will judge your crimes. Palpatine laughs. It is an ugly sound, devoid of the warmth that characterized his Chancellor persona, filled instead with contempt and cruelty. The Senate? The Senate belongs to me. The courts belong to me. The very laws you would use to try me were written by my hand. You think you have won because you have gathered evidence. Evidence can be suppressed. Witnesses can be silenced. Truth can be reshaped. You have accomplished nothing. Anakin steps forward, his own lightsaber igniting with a snap hiss that seems to cut through Palpatine's confidence. You are wrong. The evidence is being released as we speak. Every major news network, every senator who is not already in your pocket, they will all know the truth within the hour. Even your allies will not be able to protect you once the galaxy knows what you really are. For the first time, something like genuine concern flickers across Palpatine's features. He reaches out with the Force, sensing for the truth of Anakin's words, and finds it. The evidence is indeed being disseminated. His carefully constructed web of control is beginning to unravel. The word is a hiss of pure hatred. I see. You have planned more carefully than I gave you credit for. His gaze fixes on Anakin, and the concern transforms into something far more dangerous. And you, my boy, my greatest disappointment. I tried to guide you, to shape you into something magnificent. But you refused to see the truth. You clung to your precious Jedi principles, even as they held you back. And now, you stand against me, thinking yourself my equal. I am not your equal. Anakin's voice is steady, his presence in the Force as calm and deep as a still ocean. "I am your end." Palpatine's response is immediate and devastating. Lightning erupts from his fingertips, a torrent of dark side energy that arcs toward the assembled Jedi. Windu catches the blast on his blade, the purple plasma struggling to contain the fury of the assault. Fisto does the same, his green blade flaring with the effort. The clone troopers open fire, their weapons targeting the Sith Lord with precision. But Palpatine is already moving, his body a blur of speed and violence that should be impossible for someone of his apparent age. A lightsaber appears in his hand, its crimson blade igniting as he deflects the blaster bolts back toward their sources. Two troopers fall before the others can take cover. Anakin charges forward, his blade sweeping in a devastating arc that would have split most opponents in half. But Palpatine is not most opponents. He catches the strike on his own weapon, their blades locking in a shower of sparks, and for a moment their eyes meet. "I made you." Palpatine's voice is a venomous whisper. "Every frustration you felt, every doubt that plagued you, I put them there. I spent years trying to keep you weak, trying to prevent you from becoming what you are now. And I failed. But I can still destroy you. You failed because you did not understand what I am." Anakin pushes forward, his strength seeming to grow with each passing second. "You saw me as a tool to be controlled, or a threat to be eliminated. You never understood that I am neither. I am balance. I am the Force itself made flesh. And you cannot control the Force any more than you can control the rising of the suns." He disengages and attacks again, his blade moving in patterns that seem to shift between lightsaber forms with fluid ease. Palpatine defends, his own technique flawless, but there is a desperation in his movements now that was not there before. The other Jedi join the battle. Windu comes in from the left, his aggressive Varpad style feeding on Palpatine's darkness and turning it back against him. Fisto attacks from the right, his quick blade work probing for openings. Obi-Wan provides support, his defensive mastery ensuring that Palpatine cannot focus his attention on any single opponent. The Chancellor's office becomes a maelstrom of light and energy. Furniture is destroyed, windows shatter, the walls are scored by deflected blaster fire and lightsaber strikes. The sounds of combat echo through the corridors, drawing attention from throughout the building. But the guards do not intervene. The evidence is spreading through the networks now, reaching millions of viewers across the galaxy. Security personnel who might have rushed to the Chancellor's defense are instead staring at their datapads in horror, watching recordings of Darth Sidious coordinating attacks against the very Republic they have sworn to protect. Palpatine fights with the fury of a cornered predator. His attacks become more savage, more desperate, drawing on reserves of dark side power that should have been exhausted long ago. He kills two more Jedi Knights who try to flank him, their bodies crumpling under the assault of his lightning. But for every gain he makes, Anakin is there to counter him. The young Jedi moves with a speed and power that matches the Sith Lord's own, his blade intercepting strikes that should have been impossible to block, his Force presence anchoring the assault and preventing Palpatine from achieving the overwhelming advantage he needs. Windu scores a hit, his blade slashing across Palpatine's side. The Sith Lord screams in pain and rage, unleashing a blast of Force energy that throws Windu backward. But Fisto is already there, pressing the advantage, and Palpatine must defend instead of counterattack. "You cannot defeat me." Palpatine's voice is ragged now, the composed facade completely shattered. "I am the dark side itself." Anakin catches Palpatine's blade on his own, their weapons locked together, their faces inches apart. "No, you are just an old man who spent his life running from his own fear. The dark side is not your servant. It is your master, and it has made you weak. You could have been so much more, Sidious. You could have truly understood the Force. Instead, you let your fear control you. Fear of loss, fear of death, fear of me. With a mighty heave, Anakin throws Palpatine backward. The Sith Lord crashes through his desk and slams against the far wall, his lightsaber flying from his grip. He tries to rise, tries to summon another blast of lightning, but Windu is there, his blade at Palpatine's throat. It is over. Palpatine looks up at them with eyes that burn with pure hatred. His face is twisted into something barely human. The pleasant mask completely gone, the monster beneath fully revealed. You think this is over? His voice is a hiss of pure malice. The Sith have ruled the galaxy before. We will rule it again. What you have done here today changes nothing. The darkness cannot be defeated. It can only be delayed. Anakin steps forward, his blade still ignited, his expression calm but resolute. You are wrong. The darkness is not the enemy. Fear is the enemy. Hate is the enemy. The desperate need for control that drives beings like you to corruption and cruelty. That is the enemy. The Force is not light or dark. It simply is. And those who truly understand it do not seek to dominate it. They seek to serve it. He deactivates his lightsaber and looks down at the broken Sith Lord. You will face trial. You will answer for your crimes. And the galaxy will see that the Sith way leads only to destruction. Not because the dark side is inherently evil, but because those who follow it have lost their way. They have forgotten what the Force is truly for. Palpatine stares at him for a long moment. Then something changes in his expression. The hatred fades, replaced by something that might almost be acceptance. You truly have become something new, Skywalker. Something the galaxy has never seen before. Perhaps the prophecy was right after all. Perhaps balance has finally come. His eyes flutter closed, and he slumps against the wall, unconscious. The dark side energy that sustained him through the battle has finally given out, leaving behind only an old man who has lost everything he spent his life building. Windu keeps his blade trained on the fallen Chancellor, taking no chances. But the others can feel that the immediate threat has passed. The battle is over. Anakin looks around at the destruction, at the bodies of the fallen, at the victory they have achieved at such cost. He feels the weight of the moment settling onto his shoulders, the recognition that everything has changed. The war is not over. The Republic is not saved. There will be consequences from this day that will ripple across the galaxy for years to come. But the head of the serpent has been cut off. The corruption at the heart of everything has been exposed and defeated. It is a beginning. The arrest of Chancellor Palpatine sends shockwaves through the galaxy. The evidence released simultaneously with the assault proves devastating to whatever support he might have retained. Senators who were his closest allies scramble to distance themselves from the scandal. Military commanders who followed his orders now claim they were deceived. The holonet is filled with images of the fallen Chancellor being led away in binders, his face a mask of cold fury, his robes torn and stained from the battle. Analysts dissect the evidence of his crimes, tracing the web of manipulation back through years of careful corruption. Historians begin revising their understanding of the Clone Wars, recognizing for the first time the true scope of Sidious's machinations. For the Jedi Order, the crisis forces a reckoning that has been building for generations. They failed to see a Sith Lord operating in their midst for decades. They allowed themselves to become generals in a war orchestrated by their enemy. They nearly lost the Chosen One, to their own suspicion and distrust. Master Yoda addresses the council in an emergency session, his voice heavy with the weight of failure and recognition. Blind we were, arrogant in our certainty. See the darkness we could not, because see ourselves we would not. Changes must come, if survive the order will. The reforms begin slowly at first, then accelerate as the full scope of the order's failures becomes clear. The rigid rules that prevented attachment and emotional connection are revisited and reconsidered. The relationship between the Jedi and the Republic is re-evaluated, with many arguing that the Order became too intertwined with politics and lost sight of its true purpose. Anakin watches these changes from a position of unusual influence. His role in exposing and defeating Palpatine has made him a hero throughout the Republic. His name spoken with reverence by people who once viewed him with suspicion. The Council offers him a seat among the Masters. He declines. They offer to make him Grand Master, the leader of the entire Order. He declines that as well. I am not meant to lead the Jedi. Anakin speaks these words to Master Yoda in a private meeting after the Council's offer is extended. I have found my own path, one that exists outside the traditional structures of your Order. If I were to take a position of authority, I might unconsciously push others toward that same path. And I am not certain it is right for everyone. Yoda studies him with ancient eyes that have seen countless generations come and go. Wise you have become, young Skywalker. See what few others can see. Balance you have found, not in rejection of what came before, but in transcendence of it. I only did what the Force guided me to do. The prophecy spoke of bringing balance. I understand now that balance is not about destroying one side or the other. It is about holding both, serving both, being a bridge between light and dark, rather than a champion of either. Yoda nods slowly. Teach this, you must. Not as a master of our Order, but as something new, something the galaxy needs, perhaps, in time. But first, there is work to be done. The Clone Wars do not end immediately with Palpatine's fall, but they wind down rapidly over the following months. Without Sidious coordinating from both sides, the separatist movement loses direction and cohesion. Count Dooku emerges as a surprisingly effective negotiator, using his knowledge of the conspiracy to broker peace agreements with systems that no longer have any reason to continue fighting. His cooperation in exposing Palpatine earns him a measure of clemency. He will never be trusted by the Republic, but he is not executed for his crimes. Instead, he retreats to a quiet exile, spending his remaining years in meditation and study, trying to understand where the Sith path went wrong. The clones present a more complex challenge. With Order 66 exposed and disabled, the inhibitor chips are removed from every soldier in the Grand Army. Many struggle with the revelation that they were designed to be weapons against the very Jedi they served alongside. The psychological trauma requires years of therapy and support to address. But the clones also gain something they never had before: recognition of their personhood. The Republic that emerges from the crisis treats them as citizens rather than property, granting them rights and opportunities that were previously denied. Some continue to serve in the military. Others pursue civilian careers, building lives that would have been unimaginable under the old system. Padme Amidala watches these changes with a mixture of hope and caution. As a senator, she works tirelessly to ensure that the reforms are genuine, that the new Republic does not simply replace one form of corruption with another. She knows that the work of building a just society is never finished, that vigilance must be eternal. And she watches Anakin with eyes full of love and wonder. The man who stands before her now is different from the passionate, troubled young Jedi she fell in love with years ago. He has grown, evolved, become something that defies easy categorization. But the core of who he is remains the same. A good man who wants to make the galaxy a better place. One evening, he comes to her apartment as he often does, his presence a warm light cutting through the darkness of her exhausting days. The council asked me to lead them again. Anakin settles onto the couch beside her, his expression thoughtful. I said no. Again. Why? Because I am not a Jedi anymore. Not in the traditional sense. I follow the Force, but I do not follow their code. I use the dark side when it serves me, and the light side when it serves me, and I do not see any contradiction in that. If I became Grand Master, I would inevitably try to reshape the Order in my own image, and that might not be what is best for them. Padme takes his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. Then what will you do? Anakin is quiet for a long moment, staring out at the lights of the city. I will do what I have always done. I will help people who need helping. I will fight injustice wherever I find it. I will try to be a force for good in a galaxy that desperately needs it. But I will do it my own way, on my own terms, without the constraints of an order that does not fully understand what I am. He turns to look at her, his eyes soft with love. And I will come home to you, always. Padme smiles and leans into him, resting her head on his shoulder. That is all I have ever wanted. The months following Palpatine's fall are a time of transition for the entire galaxy. Old certainties have been shattered. New possibilities are emerging from the wreckage of the war. And Anakin Skywalker finds himself at the center of it all, even as he tries to step back from the spotlight. He does not remain on Coruscant. The capital is too full of politics and bureaucracy, too constrained by the expectations of those who see him as a hero or a savior. Instead, he begins to travel, moving through the galaxy like a ghost, appearing where he is needed and vanishing again before anyone can try to pin him down. His first journey takes him to the Outer Rim, to the forgotten worlds that suffered most during the war. These places have no strategic value, no resources worth exploiting, no political significance that would earn them attention from the newly reformed Republic. They have only their suffering and their desperate need for help that is not coming. Anakin provides that help. On Ryloth, he finds a community of Twi'lek refugees who fled the Separatist occupation and never returned home. They live in the ruins of an abandoned mining facility, scraping out a meager existence from the harsh landscape. Disease runs rampant. Children go hungry. The elders whisper that they have been forgotten by a galaxy that never cared about them in the first place. Anakin arrives without fanfare, his ship landing in a clearing near the settlement. The refugees approach with caution, their eyes filled with the wariness of people who have learned that strangers usually bring trouble. I am not here to hurt you. Anakin speaks softly, his hands open and empty, his presence in the Force projecting only calm and compassion. I am here to help. The work begins immediately. Anakin uses the Force to clear debris and repair damaged structures. He coordinates the delivery of medical supplies from contacts in the Republic who owe him favors. He teaches the refugees how to cultivate the few edible plants that grow in this harsh environment, sharing knowledge he gained during his own childhood on a world that cared nothing for the struggles of its poorest inhabitants. But more than that, he gives them hope. His presence reminds them that they have not been entirely forgotten, that somewhere in the vast galaxy, someone cares about their suffering and is willing to do something about it. The refugees begin to call him the Wanderer. The name spreads, carried by travelers and traders to other worlds, to other communities of forgotten people who are struggling to survive. And wherever the name travels, hope follows. From Ryloth, Anakin moves to Christophsis, where the scars of the war are still visible in the shattered crystal spires that once defined the planet's famous skyline. The reconstruction effort has stalled, mired in disputes between local factions who blame each other for collaborating with the Separatists or the Republic during the occupation. Anakin does not take sides in these disputes. Instead, he offers his services as a neutral mediator, using his reputation and his connection to the Force to find common ground between warring parties. It is delicate work, requiring patience and empathy that he once would have struggled to maintain. But he has changed. He has grown. And he finds that he has a talent for this kind of peacemaking that surprises even himself. The negotiations take weeks, but eventually a compromise is reached. The factions agree to set aside their grievances and work together on rebuilding their world. It is not a perfect solution, but it is a beginning. Anakin moves on, his work here done. His travels take him to dozens of worlds over the following months. Some require his combat skills, facing down warlords and criminals who prey on the weak. Others require his diplomatic abilities, helping communities resolve conflicts that have festered for generations. Still others simply need someone to listen, to acknowledge their suffering, to assure them that they are not alone. He begins to gather a small following, though he never asks for it and often discourages it. Young Force sensitives who have felt the call of his presence in the Force seek him out, hoping to learn from the legendary Chosen One. Anakin teaches those who are ready, sharing the understanding of balance that he has achieved, but he does not establish a formal school or order. You must find your own path. He tells each student who comes to him, "I can show you what I have learned, but I cannot walk your journey for you. The Force speaks to each of us differently. What is true for me may not be true for you." Some students accept this and grow into powerful Force users who follow their own unique callings. Others leave in frustration, seeking the structured training that Anakin refuses to provide. He does not judge them for this. He understands that his path is not for everyone. The galaxy slowly heals around him. The Reformed Republic is imperfect, plagued by many of the same problems that afflicted its predecessor. But it is also more transparent, more accountable, more willing to acknowledge its failures and work to correct them. The Jedi Order is changing too, becoming more flexible, more open to different interpretations of the Force, more willing to allow its members to form attachments and connections that were once forbidden. Anakin watches these changes with quiet satisfaction. He played a part in making them possible, but he does not claim credit for them. The beings who are doing the hard work of building a better galaxy deserve that credit. He is content to support them from the shadows. His reputation grows despite his efforts to remain anonymous. Stories spread of the mysterious figure who appears in times of crisis, who fights for those who cannot fight for themselves, who asks nothing in return but the satisfaction of knowing he has made a difference. Some call him a hero. Others call him a legend. A few whisper that he is something more, a force of nature given human form, the living embodiment of the balance that the ancient prophecies spoke of. Anakin ignores these stories as best he can. He is not interested in being worshipped or feared. He is simply doing what the Force guides him to do. But the stories reach ears that are less benign. On a remote world in the unknown regions, a figure sits in darkness, listening to reports from agents scattered across the galaxy. The figure is old, impossibly old, sustained by arcane methods that defy natural law. Its eyes glow with a sickly yellow light, and its presence in the Force is like a wound in reality itself. The Chosen One. The figure's voice is a rasp of ancient malice. He has become what Sidious feared, what we all feared. One of the agents, a pale-skinned humanoid with features that suggest some connection to the Sith species of ancient times, bows low before the darkness. "What are your orders, Master?" The figure is silent for a long moment, considering. Sidious was a fool. He tried to control the Chosen One, then tried to destroy him, and both approaches failed. We must be more subtle, more patient. The Chosen One cannot be directly opposed. His power is too great. But everyone has weaknesses. Everyone has vulnerabilities. We must find his and exploit them. The agent nods slowly. And if we cannot find such vulnerabilities, the glowing eyes narrow with cruel amusement, then we must create them. The Chosen One cares about the galaxy. He cares about its people. That caring is both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. We cannot destroy him through direct confrontation, but we can make him watch as everything he loves burns around him. We can break his spirit, corrupt his purpose, turn his own compassion into a weapon against him. The agent hesitates, clearly uncertain. With respect, Master, others have tried to manipulate the Chosen One before. Sidious spent decades attempting it, and ultimately failed. The figure rises from its throne, darkness swirling around it like a living thing. Sidious was powerful, but he lacked vision. He saw the Chosen One only as a tool to be used, or a threat to be eliminated. He never understood the true nature of the prophecy, the true purpose of balance. I have studied these matters for millennia. I know truths that Sidious could not even imagine. It crosses to a viewport that looks out over a landscape of twisted rock and poisoned sky. The Chosen One has achieved balance. He holds light and dark in harmony within himself. But that balance is fragile. It depends on his continued connection to the beings and causes he cares about. If we can sever those connections, if we can isolate him and force him to face his darkness alone, the balance will break. And when it does, he will either destroy himself or become something far worse than any Sith who has ever lived. A cold smile crosses the figure's ancient face. Either outcome serves our purposes. The Jedi believe the prophecy speaks of their salvation. The Sith believe it speaks of their ultimate triumph. They are both wrong. The prophecy speaks of the end of everything that came before. The Chosen One is not a savior or a destroyer. He is a catalyst, and we will be the ones who determine what he catalyzes. The agent bows again, accepting the wisdom of its master. It will be done. We will begin laying the groundwork for his fall. The figure nods slowly, its yellow eyes burning with ancient hunger. Yes, but do not rush. We have waited for the Chosen One for millennia. We can wait a little longer. When we move against him, it must be at precisely the right moment, with precisely the right tools. One chance is all we will have. We must not waste it. The darkness deepens as the figure returns to its throne. In the meantime, let him believe he has won. Let him believe the threat is over. Let him grow comfortable in his role as savior of the galaxy. The higher he rises, the further he will fall. And when he falls, we will be there to catch him. Anakin knows nothing of these schemes as he continues his journey through the galaxy. The threat he faced has been defeated. The evil he confronted has been destroyed. He has no reason to suspect that even greater dangers lurk in the shadows, waiting for their moment to strike. But the Force is never silent for those who know how to listen. And as Anakin meditates in the cargo hold of his small ship, traveling between one world and the next, he feels a distant whisper of warning. Something is wrong. Something out there, beyond the borders of the known galaxy, is stirring. An ancient evil that has waited for generations, preparing for the moment when the chosen one would emerge. Anakin opens his eyes and looks out at the stars. They seem peaceful enough, glittering in the void like countless promises of possibility. But he has learned to trust his instincts. The battle is not over. The victory he achieved was real, but it was not final. There are other threats out there, other powers that will challenge the balance he has worked so hard to achieve. He will be ready. The ship emerges from hyperspace above a world called Jakku, a desert planet of no particular significance that has been identified as a potential refuge for war criminals fleeing Republic justice. Anakin's sources have tracked several former separatist leaders to this world, beings who were responsible for atrocities against civilian populations and who must be brought to account for their crimes. He lands his ship in the shadow of a massive dune, concealing it from casual observation. The heat of the desert sun reminds him of Tatooine, of the world that made him what he is. He has never fully escaped that place, no matter how far he travels. Perhaps that is as it should be. The past shapes us, even when we think we have moved beyond it. Anakin moves through the desert with the ease of someone who grew up in such an environment. He reads the sand the way others read words on a page, interpreting the subtle signs that reveal where beings have passed, how recently, and in what numbers. The trail he follows leads toward a settlement visible in the distance, a cluster of buildings huddled together against the endless expanse of sand. The settlement is called Nima Outpost, and it is exactly the kind of place where war criminals might hope to disappear. It is lawless, corrupt, a haven for those who have reason to avoid the attention of legitimate authorities. The perfect hiding spot for beings who fear the justice that awaits them if they are ever found. Anakin enters the outpost without trying to conceal his identity. He is known here, as he is known throughout the galaxy now. Conversations fall silent as he passes. Eyes follow him with a mixture of fear and fascination. The Wanderer has come to Jakku, and everyone knows what that means. He finds his targets in a cantina at the center of the settlement. 3 former separatist generals, responsible for the deaths of millions during the war, now reduced to hiding in this backwater dive and hoping that no one remembers what they did. They remember who he is the moment he enters. 2 of them immediately reach for weapons. The third tries to run, bolting toward a back exit that leads into the maze of alleys behind the cantina. None of them get far. Anakin moves with the fluid grace that has become his signature. One moment he is standing in the doorway. The next, he is among them, his lightsaber ignited, its blue blade a streak of light in the dim interior of the cantina. The first general's blaster is sliced in half before he can pull the trigger. A force push sends him crashing into the bar, unconscious before he hits the ground. The second general manages to fire a single shot, which Anakin deflects into the ceiling. A swift strike disarms him, and a follow-up blow to the head puts him down. The third general has almost reached the back door when an invisible hand grips him and pulls him backward through the air. He lands at Anakin's feet, gasping and terrified, all pretense of defiance stripped away. "Please." The general's voice is a whimper. "Please, I was just following orders. I did not want to do any of those things." Anakin looks down at him with eyes that hold no anger, no hatred, only a deep and abiding sadness. "The beings you killed were following orders too. The soldiers who died in your campaigns were following orders. The civilians who burned in the fires you set were just trying to live their lives." You do not get to hide behind orders. You chose to do what you did, and now you will face the consequences. He binds the three generals with restraints he brought for this purpose and loads them onto his ship. They will be taken back to Republic space, handed over to the authorities, and tried for their crimes. It is not a satisfying conclusion. Nothing can undo the damage they caused. Nothing can bring back the millions who died because of their decisions. But it is justice, of a sort. And justice, however imperfect, is better than nothing. The return journey to Republic space takes several days. Anakin spends the time in meditation, reaching out through the Force to touch the lives of beings across the galaxy. He feels joy and sorrow, love and hate, hope and despair, the full spectrum of mortal experience flowing through him like a river. This is what he fights for. Not abstract principles or political ideologies, but the living beings whose lives are affected by the choices of the powerful. Every child who goes to bed hungry, every parent who fears for their family's safety, every elder who wonders if their sacrifices meant anything. They are all part of the tapestry he is trying to protect. The weight of that responsibility is immense. Some days it threatens to crush him, but Anakin has learned to carry it, to find strength in the very caring that makes the burden so heavy. He is not alone. He has Padme, who waits for him on Coruscant, who anchors him to the world of normal human connection, even as he walks among the stars. He has Obi-Wan, who has become more than a friend, more than a brother, a constant presence in his life, who understands what he has become and accepts it without reservation. And he has the Force itself, which flows through him and around him and within him, guiding his steps, showing him where he is needed, reminding him that even the longest journey is taken one step at a time. The ship emerges from hyperspace above Coruscant, the city planet glittering below like a jewel against the darkness of space. Anakin feels a wave of relief as he sees it. Despite everything, despite his ambivalence about politics and his discomfort with the attention his presence attracts, Coruscant is home in a way that no other place has ever been. Because Padme is there. And wherever she is, that is where he belongs. He delivers his prisoners to the authorities, answers the necessary questions, files the required reports. The bureaucracy of justice is tedious, but it is also necessary. The galaxy cannot function without structures, without systems, without processes that ensure fairness and accountability. Anakin has learned to appreciate this truth, even when the processes themselves frustrate him. Finally, after hours of formalities, he is free. He makes his way to Padme's apartment, his steps quickening as he approaches the door. It has been weeks since he last saw her. Weeks of traveling and fighting and helping those in need. He is exhausted, worn down by the constant demands of his self-appointed mission. But when the door opens and he sees her face, all of that exhaustion falls away. You are home. Padme steps into his arms, holding him tightly. I was starting to worry. I am always home when I am with you. Anakin buries his face in her hair, breathing in the scent of her, letting her presence wash away the accumulated stress of his journey. You are my anchor, Padme, my reason for everything. They stand there for a long moment. Two people who have been through more than most could imagine, who have faced the worst the galaxy has to offer and emerged stronger for it. Their love is not the passionate, reckless thing it once was. It has matured into something deeper, more stable, more enduring. I have news. Padme pulls back slightly, looking up at him with eyes that sparkle with joy, and something else, something that makes Anakin's heart skip a beat. I was going to tell you when you contacted me, but I wanted to wait until you were here. What is it?" Padme takes his hand and places it on her stomach. Her smile is radiant, filled with a happiness that seems to light up the entire room. "We are going to have a child." Anakin stares at her, his mind struggling to process what she has just said. A child. Their child. A new life that they created together, that will carry both of them forward into the future. His eyes fill with tears, and he pulls her close again, holding her as if she is the most precious thing in the universe. Because she is. A child. He whispers the words like a prayer. "Padme, I never imagined that I could have something like this. A family. A real family. You have earned it." Padme's voice is soft but fierce. "You have fought so hard, sacrificed so much, given everything you have to make the galaxy a better place. You deserve this happiness, Anakin. We both do." They stay like that for a long time, holding each other, dreaming of the future that awaits them. The galaxy is still troubled, still healing from the wounds of war, still threatened by dangers that Anakin can sense lurking in the shadows. But in this moment, none of that matters. What matters is love. What matters is hope. What matters is the new life that grows within Padme, a symbol of everything they have fought for, everything they believe in. Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, the bringer of balance, has finally found what he has been searching for his entire life. A place to belong, a family to call his own, a future worth fighting for. The news of Padme's pregnancy changes everything and nothing at the same time. Anakin still travels, still fights, still helps those who need him. But now there is a new urgency to his work, a new awareness of what he is fighting for. Every child he saves reminds him of the child growing within Padme. Every family he protects reminds him of the family he is building. He becomes more careful, not out of fear for himself, but out of recognition that he has something to live for beyond the mission. The reckless heroism that once characterized his actions gives way to a more measured approach, one that accomplishes the same goals with less unnecessary risk. Obi-Wan notices the change when they meet for one of their regular training sessions. The two of them have continued to spar and meditate together, maintaining the bond that has sustained them through so much. "You seem different." Obi-Wan observes as they circle each other on the training mat, lightsabers humming softly, more focused, more centered. Anakin smiles, a genuine expression of happiness that Obi-Wan has not seen on his face in years. "I am going to be a father." The words hang in the air between them. Obi-Wan's blade falters for a moment, his expression shifting through surprise, concern, and finally settling on something that looks very much like joy. "Anakin." His voice is thick with emotion. "That is wonderful news. Truly wonderful." They deactivate their lightsabers and embrace, two friends sharing a moment of pure happiness. When they separate, Obi-Wan's eyes are suspiciously bright. "I always hoped you would find this kind of peace. Even in the darkest times, when it seemed like the war would never end and you were struggling with so much, I believed you would eventually find your way to happiness. I could not have done it without you." Anakin's voice is sincere. "You never gave up on me, Obi-Wan, even when I gave you every reason to. You believed in me when no one else did. That is what brothers do." The word hangs in the air between them, carrying a weight of meaning that transcends its simple definition. They are not brothers by blood, but they are brothers in every way that matters. The bond between them has been forged through years of shared struggle and sacrifice, tempered by trials that would have broken lesser relationships. there is something else. Anakin's expression grows more serious. Something I have been sensing in the Force. A darkness gathering at the edges of perception. I cannot identify its source or its nature, but I know it is there. Waiting. Obi-Wan nods slowly. He has felt it too, though perhaps not as clearly as Anakin. Do you think it is connected to the remnants of the Sith? Perhaps. Or perhaps it is something older. Something that has been waiting for the right moment to emerge. The galaxy is in a state of transition. Such times attract all manner of predators. What will you do? Anakin considers the question. Part of him wants to hunt down this threat immediately, to seek it out and destroy it before it can threaten everything he loves. But another part of him knows that rushing into the unknown would be foolish, potentially suicidal. For now, I watch. I listen. I prepare. When the threat reveals itself, I will be ready, and you will not face it alone. Obi-Wan's voice carries the weight of a promise. Whatever comes, we face it together. As always. The months pass, and Padme's pregnancy progresses. Anakin splits his time between missions and being with her, trying to balance his responsibilities to the galaxy with his responsibilities to his growing family. It is not easy. There are times when he must leave her for weeks at a stretch, when the needs of distant worlds pull him away from where he most wants to be. But Padme understands. She has always understood. She knew what she was getting into when she chose to love a man like Anakin Skywalker. She does not ask him to change, does not demand that he give up his mission for her sake. Instead, she supports him, encourages him, reminds him that the work he does matters. The galaxy needs you. She tells him one evening as they sit together on her balcony, watching the sun set over the endless cityscape of Coruscant. It needs someone who will fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. I would never ask you to abandon that. You are not asking me to abandon anything. Anakin takes her hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles on her skin. You are giving me something to fight for. Every time I save a child, I think of our child. Every time I protect a family, I think of our family. You make me better, Padme, stronger, more focused. She leans into him, her head resting on his shoulder. Just promise me you will come home. Always. Always. The promise is easy to make, but harder to keep. Anakin's missions grow more dangerous as the months pass, as if the galaxy itself is testing his commitment. He faces warlords and crime lords, slavers and smugglers, all manner of beings who prey on the weak and exploit the vulnerable. On Nal Hutta, he infiltrates a Hutt crime syndicate that has been trafficking sentient beings to the outer systems. The operation is dangerous, requiring him to maintain a cover identity for weeks while he gathers the evidence needed to bring down the entire network. When he finally makes his move, the resulting battle tears through the Hutt's palace like a storm. Anakin fights with the controlled fury that has become his hallmark. His lightsaber flashes in the dim corridors, cutting down guards and droids alike. The Hutt's personal enforcers, a squad of Trandoshan mercenaries known for their brutality, fall before him one by one. And at the end, in the Hutt's throne room, he faces the bloated crime lord himself. Gardala the Hutt recognizes him immediately. Her eyes widen with something that might be fear, though Hutts are notoriously difficult to read. Skywalker. Her voice is a wet gurgle of contempt and terror. You dare to attack me in my own home. I dare many things. Anakin advances slowly, his lightsaber humming at his side. You have enslaved thousands of beings. You have destroyed countless lives. You have spread misery and suffering across this sector for decades. This is the way of things. Gardulla tries to maintain her composure, but there is a tremor in her voice that betrays her fear. The strong prey on the weak. It has always been so. No longer. Anakin raises his blade, and for a moment the Hutt believes she is about to die. But he does not strike. Instead, he reaches out with the Force and activates a hidden transmitter, broadcasting the evidence he has gathered to every law enforcement agency in the sector. You will face justice. Your crimes will be exposed. Your empire will crumble. And you will spend the rest of your life knowing that everything you built was for nothing. Gardulla screams in rage and disbelief as Republic authorities storm the palace. Anakin watches her being led away in restraints, feeling no satisfaction, only a grim sense of duty fulfilled. One more predator removed from the galaxy. One more small step toward the justice that beings like her have evaded for too long. But even as he watches the operation conclude, Anakin feels that distant darkness stirring again. It is closer now, more defined, as if his actions have drawn its attention in some way. Whatever lurks in the shadows is aware of him, and it is watching. The threat reveals itself sooner than Anakin expected. He is on a world called Malachor, investigating rumors of ancient Sith artifacts that have surfaced on the black market. The planet is a graveyard, littered with the remains of a battle fought thousands of years ago, its surface still poisoned by the dark side energies unleashed during that terrible conflict. Anakin moves through the ruins of an ancient temple, his senses extended to their fullest, every nerve alert for danger. The darkness here is almost overwhelming, pressing against his consciousness like a physical weight. It would be easy to lose himself in it, to let it consume him the way it has consumed so many others who came to this place. But he is not like those others. He holds the darkness within himself, balanced by the light, neither side dominant. The corruption of Malachor cannot touch him, because he has already made peace with the shadows that dwell in his own soul. He finds the artifacts in a chamber deep beneath the temple's surface. They are small, seemingly insignificant objects, but the dark side energy they radiate is immense. In the wrong hands, they could be used to corrupt or destroy entire worlds. Anakin reaches out to collect them, intending to take them somewhere they can be safely contained. That is when the attack comes. They emerge from the shadows like wraiths, figures in dark robes wielding weapons that blaze with crimson fire. There are a dozen of them, moving with coordination that suggests extensive training and preparation. They do not announce themselves or demand surrender. They simply attack, their blades converging on Anakin from every direction. He ignites his own lightsaber and meets them. The battle that follows is unlike anything Anakin has experienced since his confrontation with Palpatine. These attackers are skilled, far more skilled than common criminals or even separatist assassins. They wield the Force with practiced ease, augmenting their physical abilities and coordinating their attacks through some kind of mental link. Anakin defends against the initial rush, his blade a blur of motion as it deflects strikes from multiple directions. He reaches out with the Force and hurls two of his attackers against the chamber walls, but the others press forward, undeterred by the loss of their companions. "Who are you?" Anakin demands, even as he continues to fight. One of the attackers, distinguishable from the others only by the more elaborate design of his robes, laughs coldly. "We are the instruments of your destruction, Chosen One. We are the harbingers of the end you have been sensing. Our master has waited millennia for this moment." Anakin parries a thrust aimed at his heart and responds with a force push that sends three attackers stumbling backward. Your master is a fool if he thinks a dozen acolytes can defeat me. We are not here to defeat you. The leader's voice carries a dark amusement. We are here to test you, to measure your power, to learn how you will react when threatened. A feint, then. Anakin cuts down another attacker who gets too close. Probe to gather intelligence. Precisely. And you have shown us exactly what we needed to see. The surviving attackers break off suddenly, disengaging from the battle and retreating into the shadows. Anakin could pursue them, could hunt them down one by one. But something holds him back. A warning from the Force. A sense that giving chase would lead him into a trap far more dangerous than the one he has just survived. He lets them go. In the aftermath, Anakin collects the artifacts and leaves Malachor, his mind racing with questions. Who are these enemies? What master do they serve? And what did they learn from their attack that could be used against him? The darkness he has been sensing is no longer a vague premonition. It is a concrete threat, an enemy that has already taken the first steps toward destroying him. The war he thought he had won is not over. It is only beginning. Anakin returns to Coruscant with the artifacts and his troubling news. He meets with the Jedi Council, sharing what happened on Malachor and warning them of the threat that has emerged. The Masters listen with grave attention, their faces reflecting the concern that Anakin feels. This is troubling indeed. Mace Windu's voice is heavy with worry. We had believed the Sith threat to be ended with Palpatine's defeat. If there are other dark side practitioners out there, organized and powerful enough to mount an attack like this, we must take immediate action. We know nothing about them. Master Yoda's ears droop slightly, a sign of his deep concern. Their numbers, their location, their ultimate goals, mysteries all remain. They mentioned a master. Anakin's expression is grim, someone who has waited millennia for this moment. That suggests we are dealing with something far older than Palpatine's Sith order. The room falls silent as the implications sink in. The Sith have existed in many forms throughout galactic history. Palpatine's Order of Two was only the most recent incarnation. If an older, more powerful faction has survived in hiding, the threat could be far worse than anything they have faced before. We must investigate. Windu stands, his presence commanding attention. Every resource at our disposal must be devoted to uncovering the truth about this enemy. I agree. Anakin's voice is steady, but there is a fire burning in his eyes. But I will not wait for investigations to conclude. This enemy has already moved against me. They know who I am and what I am capable of. I intend to learn the same about them. You would hunt them? I would do whatever is necessary to protect the people I love and the galaxy I have sworn to defend. If that means hunting these enemies to the ends of the universe, so be it. The Council exchanges glances, their thoughts passing between them in that silent communication that experienced Force users share. Finally, Yoda speaks. With you, the Force is. Trust in it, you must. Guide you, it will, to the answers you seek. Anakin nods, accepting the blessing for what it is. I will find them, and when I do, I will end this threat once and for all. But even as he speaks the words, Anakin knows that this will not be easy. The enemy he faces is patient, intelligent, and far more prepared than any foe he has encountered before. They have had millennia to plan for this moment. He has had only days. The advantage is entirely on their side. For now. The investigation into the mysterious attackers proceeds slowly, hampered by the lack of concrete information and the enemy's apparent ability to cover their tracks. Anakin throws himself into the search with characteristic intensity, following every lead, pursuing every rumor, pushing himself to the limits of exhaustion in his determination to uncover the truth. But the Force has other plans for him. Padme goes into labor 3 weeks early, the news reaching Anakin while he is halfway across the galaxy, investigating a lead on Dantooine. He abandons the mission immediately, pushing his ship to its limits as he races back to Coruscant. The journey feels like it takes forever, each minute stretching into an eternity of worry and anticipation. He arrives at the medical center just in time. Padme is in the delivery room, surrounded by medical droids and attendants. Her face is pale and drawn with pain, but when she sees Anakin enter, her expression transforms into something that transcends mere relief. "You made it. I will always make it." Anakin takes her hand, pouring his strength into her through their connection in the Force. "I promised you. Remember. Always." The delivery is long and difficult, but Padme faces it with the same courage she has shown throughout her life. And when it is finally over, when the medical droids announce that both mother and children are healthy, Anakin finds himself staring at the 2 tiny lives that have just entered the galaxy. Twins, a boy and a girl, Luke and Leia Skywalker. They are perfect, impossibly small, impossibly fragile, impossibly beautiful. Anakin holds them one at a time, feeling their presence in the Force like 2 new stars burning in the darkness of space. They are strong in the Force, both of them. He can feel the potential within them, the echo of the power that flows through his own veins. But more than that, he can feel their innocence, their purity. They have not yet been touched by the darkness that threatens the galaxy. They are new, unspoiled, full of nothing but possibility. Anakin makes a silent vow as he looks at his children. He will protect them. He will ensure that they grow up in a galaxy where they can thrive, where they can become whatever they are meant to be, without fear or limitation. Whatever threats emerge from the shadows, whatever enemies come seeking to destroy what he has built, he will face them and defeat them. For Luke, for Leia, for Padme, for the family he never thought he would have. He will not fail. The weeks following the birth of the twins are the happiest of Anakin's life. He takes a break from his missions, staying close to Coruscant, spending every possible moment with his family. He learns to change diapers and prepare bottles and walk the floor at night when one of the babies will not stop crying. It is exhausting work, but he loves every minute of it. Obi-Wan visits frequently, marveling at the changes that parenthood has wrought in his former student. The fierce warrior and tortured soul has been transformed into something gentler, more at peace with himself and the world around him. "They have your eyes," Obi-Wan observes, holding Luke while Anakin feeds Leia. "And your stubbornness, I suspect." Anakin laughs, a sound of pure joy that Obi-Wan has rarely heard from him. They have their mother's beauty, and hopefully her wisdom as well. The Force is strong in them. I know. Anakin's expression grows more serious. "I have thought about what that means, about how I should train them when the time comes. You could send them to the Jedi Temple. The Order would welcome them." "No." Anakin shakes his head slowly. "The Order has changed, but it still follows a path that I do not fully agree with. I will train them myself. Not as Jedi, not as Sith, but as something new, something balanced." Obi-Wan nods slowly, accepting the decision without argument. He has come to trust Anakin's judgment in matters of the Force, even when it contradicts the teachings he himself was raised with. "Whatever you decide, Know that I will support you. And them, I know." Anakin's voice is soft with gratitude. "You always have." But even in these moments of happiness, Anakin cannot entirely escape the shadow that hangs over the galaxy. The mysterious enemy remains out there, watching, waiting, planning. Their attack on Malachor was only a test, a probing maneuver designed to gather intelligence. The real assault is still coming. He feels it in the Force, a gathering storm that grows closer with each passing day. The ancient darkness that has lurked at the edges of perception is coalescing, taking shape, preparing to strike. Whatever this enemy is, it has decided that the time for patience is over. The attack comes without warning. Anakin is at home, playing with the twins on the floor of their nursery, when he feels the disturbance in the Force. It is like a cold wind blowing through his consciousness, carrying with it the scent of death and destruction. He is on his feet before the sensation fully registers, his lightsaber leaping into his hand. Outside the apartment, the sounds of chaos have begun. Explosions, screams, the distinctive whine of blaster fire. Padme rushes in from the other room, her face pale with fear. What is happening? We are under attack. Anakin's voice is calm, but his eyes burn with a fierce determination. Take the children. Get to the safe room. Do not come out until I tell you it is clear. Anakin, what are you going to do? What I always do. He kisses her quickly, then turns and heads for the door. Protect my family. The streets of Coruscant have become a battlefield. Hooded figures in dark robes are attacking everywhere, emerging from the shadows to strike at civilians and security forces alike. Their coordination is terrifying, their ferocity unmatched by anything the planet's defenses have faced before. And at the center of it all, leading the assault with casual contempt for the chaos around him, is a figure that makes Anakin's blood run cold. He is tall and thin, his body wrapped in robes of deepest black. His face is hidden behind a mask that seems to absorb light itself, creating a void where features should be. But it is his presence in the Force that truly sets him apart. He radiates power on a scale that Anakin has only felt once before, in his final confrontation with Palpatine. This is the Master, the ancient evil that has been watching from the shadows, the architect of the attack on Malachor, and whatever horrors are still to come. Anakin ignites his lightsaber and charges. The battle that follows is unlike anything Coruscant has ever witnessed. Two titans clash in the heart of the Senate District, their powers shaking the very foundations of the buildings around them. Lightning crackles. The Force warps and bends. Reality itself seems to protest the conflict that is tearing through its fabric. Anakin fights with everything he has, drawing on both light and dark to fuel his attacks. His blade moves in patterns that would be impossible for any other duelist, shifting between forms with fluid ease, striking from angles that should not exist. But the Dark Master matches him blow for blow. Impressive. The voice that emerges from behind the mask is ancient, filled with millennia of accumulated malice. You have grown beyond what Sidious ever imagined, but you are still incomplete, still holding back. I am holding nothing back. Anakin presses his assault, his blade flashing in devastating arcs. The Master laughs, a sound like breaking glass. Oh, but you are. I can feel it. The fear you carry. The love that anchors you. These things give you strength, yes, but they also limit you. You are afraid of what you might become if you truly let go. Anakin does not respond with words. He responds with action, pouring more power into his attacks, pushing himself beyond any limit he has ever reached before. The Master meets every strike, deflecting and countering with apparent ease. Your family is in danger, Chosen One. Even now, my servants are hunting them, the woman, the children. All of them will die unless you stop me here. Anakin feels a surge of fear that threatens to overwhelm his concentration. He reaches out through the Force, searching for Padme and the twins, and finds them still in the safe room. They are alive. For now, you will not touch them. Then stop me. The Master launches his own assault, a barrage of attacks so intense that Anakin is forced to give ground. Lightning and telekinesis and raw dark side energy hammer at him from every direction. He defends desperately, barely managing to keep the attacks at bay. And then, in a moment of perfect clarity, Anakin understands what he must do. He stops fighting. Not physically, but mentally. He releases the fear that has been clouding his judgment. He lets go of the desperate need to protect, to control, to ensure specific outcomes. He surrenders himself to the Force completely, allowing it to flow through him without resistance or direction. The effect is immediate and profound. His movements become smoother, more efficient, more precise. The Master's attacks, which seemed overwhelming moments ago, now appear slow and predictable. Anakin can see the patterns underlying them, the assumptions and limitations that constrain even this ancient being. He counters a lightning strike by absorbing it and redirecting it into his own attack. He slips past a telekinetic grab and delivers a devastating blow that staggers the Master backward. He flows like water, like air, like the Force itself given human form. The Master's composure finally cracks. Impossible. No mortal can channel such power. I am not just a mortal. Anakin advances, his blade singing through the air. I am the chosen one. I am the balance. And you are nothing but a shadow, clinging to life beyond your time. The final exchange is almost too fast to follow. Blades clash and separate. Force powers collide and cancel each other. Two beings who have transcended normal limitations push each other to the absolute edge of what is possible. And then, it is over. Anakin's blade finds its mark, piercing the Master's chest. The ancient being staggers, his mask falling away to reveal features that are barely human anymore, corrupted by millennia of dark side exposure. You cannot kill me. The Master's voice is a wheeze of defiance. I have cheated death for 10,000 years. I will return. I will always return. Anakin looks at the dying creature with something that is almost pity. Perhaps, but not today. Today, you end. He channels the Force one final time, not in attack but in purification. Light and dark merge within him, becoming something that is neither and both. A perfect balance that washes through the Master's corrupted essence and dissolves it completely. There is no scream, no final curse. The ancient evil simply fades away, leaving nothing behind but empty robes and the fading echo of what was. Anakin stands alone in the destruction, his lightsaber still ignited, his breathing heavy with exhaustion. Around him, the sounds of battle are fading as the Master's servants realize their leader has fallen. Without his will to guide them, they are nothing but lost souls, confused and frightened, and easy prey for the Republic forces now mobilizing to contain them. It is over. The thought brings no satisfaction, only relief. Anakin deactivates his lightsaber and turns back toward his home, toward his family, toward the life he has been fighting to protect. They are safe. The galaxy is safe. And somewhere in the Force, he feels a sense of resolution that suggests this particular threat will not be returning. The prophecy has been fulfilled. Balance has been achieved. And Anakin Skywalker can finally rest. Padme meets him at the door of their apartment, the twins cradled in her arms. Her eyes are red from crying, but her smile is radiant with relief. You did it. We did it. Anakin pulls her close, wrapping his arms around all three of them. Together. They stand there for a long moment, a family united against all the darkness the galaxy can throw at them. Outside, the sun is rising over Coruscant, its light washing away the shadows of the night. A new day is dawning. A new era is beginning. And for Anakin Skywalker, for the first time in his life, the future holds nothing but hope. The years that follow are good ones. The Republic continues to heal, guided by leaders who have learned from the mistakes of the past. The Jedi Order evolves, becoming more flexible and more attuned to the true nature of the Force. And Anakin Skywalker raises his children in peace, teaching them the lessons he has learned, preparing them for whatever challenges the future might bring. Luke and Leia grow into remarkable young people. They have their father's power and their mother's wisdom, combined in ways that make them something entirely new. Anakin trains them himself as he promised, teaching them to hold light and dark in balance, to use the Force as a tool for good without being enslaved by rigid doctrine. Padme continues her work in the Senate, helping to shape the policies that will ensure the Republic's continued stability. Her partnership with Anakin becomes a model for others, proof that love and duty need not be in conflict, that the strongest bonds are those freely chosen. Obi-Wan remains a constant presence in their lives, uncle to the twins and brother to Anakin in all but blood. He too has grown and changed, letting go of the rigid certainties that once defined him, embracing a more nuanced understanding of the Force and its workings. And Anakin himself finds a peace he never thought possible. The anger and fear that once drove him have been transformed into something healthier, channeled into purpose rather than allowed to fester. He still travels, still helps those in need, still fights against injustice wherever he finds it. But he does so now from a place of balance rather than desperation. The Chosen One has fulfilled his destiny, not by destroying the dark side, as some interpretations of the prophecy suggested, but by transcending the false dichotomy between light and dark entirely. He has shown that true balance is not about eliminating one side or the other, but about holding both in harmony, using each as the situation requires. It is a lesson that will reshape the understanding of the Force for generations to come. On the anniversary of the twins' birth, Anakin stands on the balcony of their home, watching the sun set over Coruscant. Padme joins him, slipping her hand into his as they watch the colors spread across the sky. "What are you thinking about?" "Everything. Nothing. The path that brought us here. The future that lies ahead." "Any regrets?" Anakin considers the question seriously. There are things he wishes he had done differently, choices he might have made otherwise with the benefit of hindsight. But in the end, those choices led him here, to this moment, to this family, to this peace. No regrets. Padme squeezes his hand, her presence in the Force as warm and familiar as the setting sun. "Good, because I would not change anything either." They stand together in comfortable silence, watching as the stars begin to appear in the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, new adventures await. New challenges will emerge. The galaxy will continue to turn, and beings will continue to struggle and strive and hope. But that is for tomorrow. For now, there is only this moment, only this peace, only the love that has sustained them through everything the universe has thrown at them. Anakin Skywalker, the slave boy from Tatooine, who became the most powerful Force user in history, has finally found what he was always searching for: a home, a family, a purpose that transcends the endless cycle of conflict and destruction. Balance. True balance. 20 years have passed since the fall of Palpatine. 20 years since Anakin Skywalker stood in the ruins of the Chancellor's office and made the choice that would define the rest of his life. 20 years of building, growing, teaching, and learning. The galaxy that emerged from those dark days is not perfect. No society ever is. Corruption still exists in the halls of power. Crime still flourishes in the shadows of the Outer Rim. Beings still struggle and suffer and die in circumstances that should never have been allowed to occur. But it is better, measurably, undeniably better. The Republic has reformed itself into something more responsive to the needs of its citizens. The bureaucratic morass that once strangled every attempt at progress has been streamlined and modernized. Representatives are held accountable for their actions. Transparency requirements ensure that corruption is harder to hide and easier to punish. The Jedi Order has transformed into something unrecognizable from what it was before the war. The rigid rules that once governed every aspect of Jedi life have been replaced by flexible guidelines that acknowledge the diversity of beings and their relationships to the Force. Attachment is no longer forbidden. Emotion is no longer suppressed. Instead, Jedi are taught to understand their feelings and channel them constructively. Many of these changes can be traced directly to Anakin Skywalker's influence. Though he never rejoined the Order, his example showed what was possible when someone embraced the full spectrum of the Force without being consumed by it. Young Jedi study his teachings alongside those of the ancient masters, learning that balance is not about choosing sides, but about transcending the choice entirely. Luke and Leia Skywalker have grown into remarkable adults. They carry their father's power and their mother's wisdom, combining them in ways that make them formidable in their own right. Luke has followed a path similar to his father's, traveling the galaxy, helping those in need, teaching Force sensitives who come to him seeking guidance. He has his father's gentle nature beneath a core of steel, the same ability to find hope in the darkest circumstances. Leia has chosen a different path. She serves in the Senate, as her mother once did, fighting for justice through legislation rather than lightsabers. But she is no less formidable for that choice. Her presence in the Force gives her insights that other politicians lack, and her upbringing has given her a moral compass that cannot be corrupted. Both of them are proof that Anakin's approach to training was correct. They are neither Jedi nor Sith, but something new, something that honors the best of both traditions while being limited by neither. Padme Amidala has retired from the Senate, her years of service having earned her the respect and gratitude of beings across the galaxy. She spends her time now writing, recording the history of the Clone Wars and its aftermath, ensuring that future generations will understand what happened and why. Her partnership with Anakin has endured, deepening over the decades into something that transcends ordinary love. They have become two halves of a single whole, so attuned to each other that they often communicate without words, their thoughts flowing between them like water. Obi-Wan Kenobi has grown old with grace and dignity. His hair has gone white, his movements have slowed, but his mind remains sharp, and his presence in the Force is as strong as ever. He serves as a senior advisor to the Jedi Council, his experience and wisdom invaluable in guiding the Order through the challenges of a changing galaxy. He and Anakin remain as close as brothers, their bond having survived every trial the universe could devise. They still spar occasionally, though now it is more meditation than combat, a way of connecting through the shared language of movement and force. On a clear evening on Naboo, Anakin stands in the garden of the small house he and Padme built there decades ago. The twin moons are rising over the lake, casting silver light across the water. The air is filled with the scent of flowers and the distant sound of music from the nearby village. It is peaceful here, beautiful. A far cry from the harsh deserts of Tatooine, where Anakin spent his childhood, dreaming of escape. He has escaped, more than escaped. He has built a life that the slave boy could never have imagined, filled with love and purpose and meaning. Footsteps approach from behind, and Anakin smiles without turning. You always could sense me coming. Obi-Wan moves to stand beside him, looking out over the lake. After all these years, your Force signature is as familiar to me as my own. They stand in comfortable silence for a long moment, two old friends sharing the beauty of the evening. I have been thinking about the past. Obi-Wan's voice is contemplative, about all the ways things could have gone differently. Regrets. Not exactly. More like wonder. The path we walked was so narrow, so precarious. A single misstep at any point could have led to disaster. But we did not misstep. No, we did not. Obi-Wan turns to look at his friend, his expression serious. Do you ever wonder why? Why we succeeded when so many others failed? Anakin considers the question carefully. He has thought about it many times over the years, trying to understand the forces that shaped his life and brought him to where he is now. I think it was love. The word feels inadequate, but it is the closest he can come to expressing the truth. Not just romantic love, though that was part of it, but love for the people who believed in me. Love for the galaxy I wanted to protect. Love for the Force itself and all its complexities. Obi-Wan nods slowly. The Jedi taught us to be wary of attachment. They saw it as a path to the dark side. But for you, it was the opposite. Your attachments gave you something to fight for, something worth protecting. They anchored you when the darkness threatened to sweep you away. They did. Anakin's voice is soft with memory. When Palpatine tried to turn me, when the dark side called to me with promises of power and control, it was love that pulled me back. Love for Padme. Love for you. Love for the life I wanted to build. And yet you use the dark side. You have always used it. I use all of the Force. The dark side is not inherently evil, any more than the light side is inherently good. They are tools, nothing more. It is what you do with them that matters. The Jedi would say that the dark side corrupts whoever touches it. Anakin smiles, the expression of patient wisdom that would have been impossible for him in his youth. The Jedi were wrong about many things. That was one of them. The dark side corrupts those who let it control them, who become slaves to their anger and fear. But someone who truly understands the Force can use its darker aspects without being consumed by them. It requires constant vigilance, constant balance. But it can be done. You have proven that, at least. They lapse back into silence, watching the moons climb higher in the sky. The music from the village has grown louder, and Anakin can feel the joy of the beings celebrating there. Their happiness a warm presence in the Force. There is going to be a party tomorrow. Padme has emerged from the house, her approach as silent as always despite the years. Luke and Leia are coming, and their families. Obi-Wan, you are of course invited. I would not miss it for anything. Padme moves to stand beside Anakin, her hand finding his with the ease of long practice. What were you two discussing? The past. Anakin squeezes her hand gently. And the future. Those seem like topics for younger beings than us. We are not so old yet. Obi-Wan's eyes twinkle with mischief, though I admit my joints do not agree with that assessment on cold mornings. They laugh together, three friends who have been through more than most beings could imagine, who have faced the worst the galaxy has to offer and emerged stronger for it. The party the next day is a celebration of everything they have built. Luke arrives with his wife and their children, a boisterous group that fills the house with laughter and energy. Leia comes with her own family, her husband Han Solo, a roguish figure who still has not entirely adjusted to being part of such a legendary clan. The children, Anakin's grandchildren, are a wonder. They are strong in the Force, every one of them, carrying forward the legacy that began on Tatooine all those years ago. Anakin watches them play in the garden, their joy a physical presence that warms his heart. This is what it was all for. He speaks the words to Padme, who stands beside him on the terrace overlooking the garden. Everything we fought for, everything we sacrificed, it was all for this, for them. Padme agrees, for the future they will build. The celebration continues into the evening, stories and songs and memories shared among family and friends. Old battles are recounted with the comfortable distance of time. Old wounds are acknowledged and healed. Old bonds are reaffirmed and strengthened. At one point, young Ben Solo, Leia's eldest, approaches his grandfather with a question that has clearly been bothering him. "Grandfather, the teachers at the academy tell us about the dark side. They say it is dangerous, that we should never touch it. But you use it, do you not? How is that possible?" Anakin kneels down to be at eye level with the boy. Ben has his grandmother's dark eyes and his grandfather's intensity, a combination that suggests great things are in store for him. "The dark side is dangerous, Ben. The teachers are not wrong about that. But danger is not the same as evil. A lightsaber is dangerous too, but we use it to protect others. But how do you use the dark side without being corrupted?" Anakin considers the question carefully. It is the same question he has struggled with his entire life, the challenge that defines his unique path. You have to understand what the dark side actually is. It is not a monster that possesses you against your will. It is a part of the Force, a part of you, that responds to certain emotions: anger, fear, passion. These emotions are not wrong. They are part of being alive. The corruption comes when you let them control you, when you become a slave to them instead of their master. So it is about control. It is about balance. You do not suppress the dark emotions. That only makes them stronger. And you do not surrender to them. That makes you a slave. Instead, you acknowledge them, understand them, and choose how to use them. You stay in the center, drawing on light and dark as needed, serving the Force itself rather than any single aspect of it. Ben nods slowly, his young mind processing this teaching. The Academy does not teach it that way. The Academy follows the Jedi path. It is a good path, one that has served many beings well. But it is not the only path. When you are older, when you have mastered the basics, I will teach you more, if you wish. I would like that, grandfather. Anakin ruffles the boy's hair affectionately. Then it is a promise. The party winds down as the moons rise over Naboo. Guests depart for their homes and ships, leaving behind warm memories and promises to return soon. Eventually, only the core family remains: Anakin, Padme, Luke, Leia, and their immediate loved ones. They gather on the terrace, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. The children have been put to bed, their energy finally exhausted by the day's excitement. The adults sit in comfortable chairs, sipping drinks and enjoying the peace of the evening. "Do you remember?" Luke breaks the silence. "When you first started teaching us about the Force, I was so confused. Everything you said contradicted what I had read in the old texts. Anakin chuckles at the memory. You were not the only one confused. The Jedi Council sent representatives to observe my teaching methods. I think they were hoping to find evidence of dark side corruption they could use to justify taking you away. What happened? Leia asks. They watched for a month. At the end, the lead observer told me that he had learned more about the Force from watching me teach than he had in 20 years at the temple. The new teaching methods at the Academy are based largely on your approach. Luke's voice carries a note of pride. The next generation of Jedi will understand balance in a way that previous generations never could. That is all I ever wanted. Anakin's voice is soft with emotion, not glory or power or recognition, just to make things better, to ensure that those who came after us would not have to struggle the way we did. Padme takes his hand, her touch a comfort and a reminder of everything they have shared. You have done that and more. The galaxy is better because of you, Anakin. Whatever history remembers, whatever stories are told about the Chosen One, the truth is simple. You made things better. Anakin looks at his wife, at his children, at the grandchildren sleeping inside the house. He thinks of the journey that brought him here, the battles fought and won, the losses endured and overcome, the love that sustained him through it all. We made things better. All of us, together. The stars wheel overhead, indifferent to the concerns of the beings below. Somewhere out there, new challenges are forming, new threats are emerging, new stories are waiting to be told. The galaxy will always have need of heroes, of those willing to stand against darkness and fight for what is right. But that is for another time. For now, there is only peace, only family, only the quiet satisfaction of a life well lived and a destiny fulfilled. Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, the bringer of balance, closes his eyes and lets himself simply be. He has earned this moment. They all have. The Force flows through him and around him and within him, light and dark in perfect harmony. A testament to what is possible when beings choose love over fear, hope over despair, balance over extremism. This is not an ending. Endings are for stories, and the galaxy's story never truly ends. There will always be new chapters, new heroes, new struggles. But for Anakin Skywalker, for this moment at least, it feels like everything has finally come full circle. The slave boy who dreamed of the stars has touched them and returned to tell the tale. The warrior who fought against impossible odds has found peace at last. The father who feared he would lose everything has seen his children and grandchildren flourish. The man who was told he would bring balance to the Force has done exactly that, in ways no one could have predicted. The prophecy is fulfilled. Balance has been achieved. And somewhere, in the depths of the Force itself, something very old and very wise seems to nod with satisfaction. It is done. The story of Palpatine's fear and Anakin's rise is a story of what might have been. It is a story of choices and consequences, of darkness confronted and overcome. It shows us that even the most powerful evil can be defeated when good beings stand together, when love proves stronger than hate, when balance triumphs over extremism. In the canon timeline, Palpatine succeeded in his manipulation. Anakin fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader, a tragedy that cast its shadow across the entire galaxy for decades. But in this alternate reality, fear led the Sith Lord to make different choices, choices that ultimately sealed his doom. The irony is perfect. By trying to prevent Anakin's rise,